Tell us. The future is friendly.
I hate you. I hate you so much. Why? Why must you do these things?
It's what I bring to the podcast. It's my whimsy.
Killing me. All right, what's up, everybody? We are back once again, still in quarantine. COVID-19. We're here. We're doing another bracket show. We're doing our wrestling brackets. Lamar is joining us again. The way we broke this one down is a little bit different. We kind of did it based on generations, decades. So 80s, early 90s, that era, into the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, and then kind of, the 2010s where we are now. So we got 16 guys from each bracket, filling out a total of 64 participants. This is based solely on whatever the hell we want it to be based on. You guys can pick whatever you want: entertainment, talent, flips, who they beat, how many championships they won. I don't care. We're just here to have some fun, right? So
predicted Final Fours.
Final Fours. Well, we got all right.
So first of all, what are the categories?
So it's like decades, 80s. Right? Yeah, so
80s.
It's like 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then 2010s. So we're going to pick the 16, but let's see. Go ahead.
I'm going to go Ric Flair for the 80s.
All right.
I'm going to go Mankind for the 90s.
All right.
I'm going to go Stone Cold for the 2000s.
Okay.
Who's in there?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
The man retired in like 03, bro.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. The man retired in 03.
I'm so out of date with this.
This is going to be great.
No kidding. Yeah.
All right, I'll switch that up. Triple H for the 2000s and the 2010s. We'll kick it. Everyone's favorite guy to hate, John Cena.
Damn. All right.
The ultimate babyface.
So I'm gonna let you know something, Lamar, really quick here. So what I did is when I picked because some guys like John Cena is like a 2000s, 2010s guy. Triple H is like a 90s, 2000s guy. Like Hogan would be like a 80s, 90s guy. I picked when they won their first championship, if that sways your opinion any, by the way.
Okay. When did The Rock win his first championship?
The Rock won his first one in 98.
Okay.
Triple H won his first in 99. Kurt Angle won his first in 2000.
Kurt Angle's on my mind too. I was
just John Cena won his first in 05. Flair was like 83. Shawn Michaels is 90s. Come on, bro. Shawn Michaels was well before like Stone Cold and stuff.
So for me, it's gonna be. I think we're gonna do Flair.
Okay.
I think we're gonna. So Flair's 80s, 90s is gonna be The Rock. 2000s is gonna be Cena, and most recent is difficult. Most recent. So
Roman Reigns, come on.
So people who won the title from 2010 onwards?
Yeah, 2010 to like now.
I'm going to say AJ Styles.
Okay. All right, so for me, man, 80s is a hard one. You got like Hogan, Flair, Dusty, Savage, but
Taker.
I think Taker was 90s.
Didn't he debut in the 80s?
Yeah, Taker didn't debut in WWE until 93.
Oh, okay.
Or no, was it 90? Maybe it was 90. I might be wrong.
Okay, is this like WCW, WWE,
and NWA?
NWA, ECW, TNA,
a little bit of New Japan.
Yeah.
It's okay. You'll recognize most of the names.
What,
You will. Like,
Ricochet and
they're all
Page?
recognizable names. Um,
This guy said Ricochet. He's not going to be on the list.
I
love
won one title. One
I
title.
love Ricochet. If this was Lucha, if we were talking Lucha Underground, he'd be on the list. But we're not talking Lucha Underground.
Fact. All right, I'm gonna do Flair, Stone Cold,
See, that was there. That was there for me.
Chris Jericho. Man, that 2010 one's always a hard one.
After 2010.
Daniel Bryan.
Ooh, good one. Good
There,
one.
those are my final four.
I was also thinking Seth frickin' Rollins, but
Yeah. So the groups are all broken up, like I said, into decades and generations. We don't know what the actual brackets are, though. So, without further ado, let's get started with the 80s here. All right. So
this is
first
the
up,
hardest one. Actually, 90s is
Ooh.
gonna be
oh, this one actually seems pretty easy. We got Jake Roberts versus Ricky Steamboat.
wow.
So
Jake
the Snake versus the Dragon.
Dragon.
Josh is going Dragon.
Well, no, I
Jake
haven't
the
chosen.
Snake.
I haven't chosen.
Oh,
I'm gonna go Jake the Snake.
Just so this is going to be nostalgia. So it's Steamboat for me.
okay. Dude, I'm going back to WrestleMania 3. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. That match was amazing and a lot of people's
Why?
top match of all time. Yeah, it was insane. Still one of the greatest matches. I can go back and watch that today and I'll just be as excited as I was when I first saw it. At the same time, Jake Roberts, the way he delivered promos, that slow, bring it down here, just talk very quietly. And it really drew you in. That was something I always really liked about him. But when it came to in-ring ability and entertainment, it's Ricky Steamboat.
Is Jake going to be on the AEW 2020 list?
2020 list?
Didn't he just debut?
Just
on
debuted.
AEW?
Why already put on the 2020 list?
What's the new
There's no
decade? 2020.
list.
It's
No,
2020
we didn't do a
now.
2020 list.
It's the 20.
That'd be 5 groups.
It's just Jake. It's just
It's just Jake.
hashtag just Jake.
Oh man.
Okay, what's next?
Ooh, a battle of the heels. We got the Iron Sheik versus Ravaging Rick Rude.
Oh,
That's a good one. Sheiky baby.
Sheik's actually Canadian, right?
I don't know if he's Canadian or his Canadian citizenship.
Or he
Pretty sure he's
lives in-
Iranian. Oh.
His family lives here now. Hmm. This is hard.
A hard one. So I mean, you got Iron Sheik who beat Hulk Hogan for the world title. I break his back and make him humble. He also says he's gonna fuck him in the ass, but he said that, not me.
He was ahead
said
of his
he was-
time.
He was. He was. But so was Rick Rude. Rick Rude was
Yeah, he
one
was.
of the most entertaining heels in the world.
And
Like
he
that dude.
inspired so many guys. So
Yeah.
many guys. So Rick Rude.
For
It's
me,
Rick
it's
Rude
Rick
for me.
Rude.
Lamar?
All right, Rick Rude it is. Let's do this.
Joey Ryan.
Robert Roode.
Yes, of
Anybody
course.
that comes out with a robe. Anybody that. Dude, Velveteen Dream and the airbrush pants.
Yes.
All right, next up.
What's the guy? Dalton Castle.
Yes, Dalton Castle. So, the main event of WrestleMania 1
Oh my God.
was Mr.
Macho?
T and
Oh.
Hulk Hogan versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper. And now we're getting the singles match there. We got Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan.
I love Roddy Piper,
Okay.
and I personally, if they were both wrestling today, I would be more entertained by Roddy Piper. But Hulk Hogan is like, he was the standard. He was the guy. He was the ace, if you can say ace, for WWF.
Lamar's
So,
gonna
Are,
thought
are we even allowed to have Hulk Hogan in this conversation?
Yeah.
I thought he was
you
kicked
might.
out. I thought
you
he was
might.
kicked out of everything.
No,
I'm
he's
just saying.
back now. Apparently, he's
He's
back now.
back.
I
Bro,
get
you
it.
apologize. Apparently, it's all it takes is an apology, and everything's okay in that company.
So did Riley Cooper. Have we
Oh
heard from
wow.
him?
Man, Tim Tebow played with some scumbags, eh?
He was trying to help them find Jesus.
He could not save them.
Oh
Could not.
man.
It's Hulk Hogan for me.
Okay.
Not personal preference, but just legacy. It's Hulk Hogan.
Hogan's got
Lamar.
the bigger, but screw him. I'm going Roddy Piper.
There's no question that Hulk Hogan was one of the reasons that wrestling became as big as it,
Oh,
excuse me,
100%.
has become. Sorry?
I said, of course, but screw him.
Guy,
Yo,
Three Ninjas.
Roddy Piper was always entertaining. I was never bored watching a Roddy Piper match. I can't tell you how many times I turned off or switched to the channel on a Hulk Hogan match. Because I think I'm going to go on this one of the better wrestler, I'm going Roddy Piper. I'm taking Hogan out first round.
This is basically Tom Brady all over again.
Yep.
Oh, stop
I was
it.
just about to say
It's the
it.
same thing. It's the same thing.
It's not even
It's
close.
personal preference. You went by personal preference.
No, I'm pretty sure Tom Brady dropped an N-bomb at 1.2, so.
And a
fine.
lot of his
this is
neighbors
based
are
on
perfectly fine with that because he got them rings and got them paid.
Okay, fair. Ooh. All right, so we got Dusty Rhodes and Harley Race. Two guys that had so much to do with the NWA in the 80s.
Wait, Harley
It's a
Race's
hard
first
one.
title
You have
was in the
guys that
80s?
Sorry?
Harley Race's first title was in the 80s?
No, we didn't do one for the 70s, so
Oh, I
I
was
threw
going to
in the
say,
80s.
he'd be in my
But that's when-
70s.
That's when the whole Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, those three just banged it out. Man, that's a hard one for me even. I mean, Harley Race was a great heel back then. He would be a great heel now. But man, the American Dream, baby. Dude, like these two, if I had to do like matches, like break this down into category of matches, I'd put like these two in those categories because they had some great matches too. For me, based solely on entertainment and then what was the follow with Ric Flair, I got to go Dusty Rhodes.
For me, this is difficult because you basically have entertainment versus wrestling. Like, if you were to say what their biggest attributes were, Dusty Rhodes is an entertainer. Harley Race was an incredible wrestler. This is hard. It is the entertainment business. They're sports entertainers. So ultimately, his job and the reason he stayed relevant is because of entertainment. So it's Dusty for me.
Okay.
That's a clean sweep. Dusty the Truth. He even got his sons in it, so
Legacy.
yeah.
It's true. All right.
I mean, one of them's gold dust, but hey, it is what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you want to talk wrestling versus entertainment? This might actually be the pinnacle of that conversation. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, versus Andre the Giant.
Okay.
A man that was a spectacle for his appearance and his entertainment value versus a man who in the ring could not be touched most nights. Josh, I'm going to let you start this one off. What do you got?
Hennig also had a legacy family-wise. Hennig passed down. He trained a lot of other wrestlers. He passed down the legacy.
He himself is a second-generation wrestler too.
Yeah. Andre the Giant, though, transcended wrestling. He was more than just a wrestler. He was an icon across the world. So for that, Andre the Giant, for me.
Okay.
This is hard because Andre, like you said, like entertainment, like this man even got into movies and things.
He also made Hulk Hogan's career.
Princess Bride.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
It's a great movie.
the immovable object, or was it the immortal? Or whatever the hell they called themselves.
Yeah.
I can't think of it now. The irresistible force, and no, that was Hogan and Warrior. Whatever.
Yeah. That slam pretty much made Hogan. Yeah. So Andre's up there, but Mr. Perfect, like, I'm gonna have to go perfect on this one still.
Wow.
Again, entertainment value. I don't think Kurt Hennig ever let me down. Going back to Roddy Piper, there was a match with Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart, and like that match stole Mania that year. And then you think about Kurt Hennig versus Bret Hart and how entertaining that match was. My heart says go with Mr. Perfect, because he was a great heel. He was a great in-ring performer. There's no question about it. A lot of people put him in their top 10 of or top 5 of technical wrestlers, if not a Mount Rushmore. But Andre the Giant is the one that really, when you look back to what wrestling became, predating Hulk Hogan, actually, it was Andre the Giant that was that spectacle that really drew fans in to become wrestling fans, because he was just so massive, and everybody wanted to see him get slammed and get beat and things like that. So it's gonna break my heart to say it. I'm gonna take Andre. I'm gonna take Andre on this one.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Ric Flair versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
For me, this is an easy one. As much as Superfly is great, Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
So it's Ric Flair. If not the 2-time Hall of Famer.
You tell me a Mount Rushmore that has Jimmy Snuka on it.
And you tell me a Mount Rushmore that doesn't have Ric Flair.
It's true. I mean, I don't even think Jimmy Snuka is on the Mount Rushmore of Samoan wrestlers at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Ric Flair is also the originator of probably the greatest faction in the history of professional wrestling.
The Four Horsemen. That's very true. If not just the Four Horsemen, Evolution on top of that, right?
Yeah.
The king of factions. The king of factions.
Yeah.
The king of symbols.
Well, no, because then there was
Fortune.
Then there was Fortune TNA. Oh, the Flair flop.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka is remembered for diving off a cage onto Dino Bravo. That's what everybody remembers Jimmy Snuka for. Can you tell me, what his first WrestleMania was? I know he lost to Taker at some point. I don't know when his first one was. Was he on WrestleMania 1? I think he was cornering Hogan and Mr. T. But Ric Flair is Ric Flair. He's the nature boy. He's wheeling, dealing.
My shoes cost more than your house. Like, how do you say that to someone, bro?
The jet flying, profiling,
20-time champion, king of factions, king of promos. I think the only person that could really touch Flair on the mic was probably Dusty. So for me, it's Ric Flair. I think it's a sweep for Ric Flair, right?
Yeah.
Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
All right. Oh, this should be another easy one. We got Jim Duggan versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Macho.
It's the Macho Man.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Dude, Hacksaw's great, but still.
Dude, the cream always rises to the top, was Macho Man saying. This man on the mic, in the ring, it didn't matter. Babyface, heel, I don't care. Hands down, in that generation, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So, are we going sweep here with Randy Savage?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Jim. I'll hit him with a ho just for it. All right, so finishing off the 80s bracket, or 80s, early 90s, we got the Ultimate Warrior versus Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man.
Oh,
Yeah, you seemed really amped for a second there, and then you realized who he was up against.
The Ultimate Warrior, the million.
okay. Didn't Ted also manage people?
Well, Ted was, I guess, technically the original manager of The Undertaker, actually. He also managed Fake Taker as well. Or Faker, as most like to call him. I mean, honestly, for me, this was actually pretty easy. Ultimate Warrior was a staple, or like a mega superstar for a while there, but it wasn't really that long. He didn't really accomplish that much. Sure, he made it to the top, beat Hogan, couldn't carry the belt worth a damn. Did it in Toronto, whoop whoop, but like Ted DiBiase was such a fantastic heel, and he got put in so many great cards against different people. $1 Million Corporation, buying the WWE Championship from Andre the Giant. Like, that dude knew how to piss people off. And in the ring, again, fantastic. Went to high school with guys like Kurt Hennig. Grew up with Kurt Hennig, the Road Warriors. Or sorry, not the Road Warriors, the Steiner Brothers. This is a guy who, again, third generation wrestler, came from the AWA. Been doing this for, back when Ultimate Warrior just started pumping needles into his ass for the first time. So for me, it's Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase is definitely up there. But for me, I don't know why, but I'm picking Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
He's got a legacy that's still happening today. They have the Warrior Foundation and they have the Warrior Award in WWE that they give out every year. I don't know what they're doing that involves Ted DiBiase still. So I think the Warriors legend still lives on. He got people really energized. He got the crowd involved. I do agree. I like a good heel. So Ted DiBiase was a great heel. But for me, I don't know why, but I'm choosing Ultimate Warrior.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. My first instinct was to go Ultimate Warrior, just because Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? Like, I almost bought his shirt the other day. I think I seen it in the store. I was like, yo, Ultimate Warrior?
Don't get it twisted. I have the shirt. I have the Warrior shirt. I got the Hogan Hulkamania shirt. I got the Macho Man with the shade shirt. Doesn't change the fact that I hate him.
Wow.
Hate him.
Hate's a strong word.
Who did you just say you hate? Hulk or Warrior?
Warrior.
Hate.
Hey, I mean, hate's a strong word, but again, at the same time, he's homophobic. Hogan's racist. Like, Ultimate Warrior just said a lot of shit that I'm just like, you don't say those type of things. Like, I don't know, man. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. But yeah, my first instinct was to go Ultimate Warrior, but $1 Million Man, yeah, he might have edged him out a little bit.
Ted DiBiase moves on. All right, so that rounds out the.
I'm not mad about it.
Right? Like,
all right.
Yo, Val Venis. I know I don't even think he won, but I feel like Val Venis should be in this.
Are you kidding me? Wait, okay, so that would now he'd be considered the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going into the 90s right now. So let's go over the round of 16 that we're gonna have in here. So you can just tell me then, should Val Venis still be in there? All right.
The 90s is stacked.
With the
super stacked.
First ranked was Bret Hart and Kevin Nash.
Wow. So it's Bret Hart. It's Bret Hart. Although Diesel's a legend.
You gotta remember, there's two sides of this, right? There's Diesel into Kevin Nash, and then there was Bret Hart WWF into Bret Hart WCW. So where Diesel to Nash kind of went this way, Bret Hart kind of went this way.
Right. So Bret Hart, the best there was, the best there is, the best there ever will be. Um, Heart Foundation, Canadian boy. Yeah, and then there's NWO, but
I'm not even
he
wearing the
was
shirt, and I should be. The
I
hat's
don't
upstairs.
this it's hard. It's hard. But for me, he was always the muscle, not the guy. Right? Bret Hart was the guy.
See, that's the
So
thing.
for
Like,
me, it's Bret
so
Hart
don't forget, Diesel was a WWF champion, and
because he
Kevin
was
Nash. Sorry?
because he was big.
Yeah,
So was Big Show. Big Show was a champion too.
but then Kevin Nash was also a world heavyweight champion in WCW. At the same time, so was Bret Hart. Now, I think when you look at title wins, I think they're actually both around equal. But I think like Nash has more in WCW and Hart has more in WWF, and then when they cross, like they both have I think one or two in each, right?
Mm,
So for you, Josh, it's Bret.
it's Bret for
Okay.
me.
Like, you screwed Brett. But, but like the entertainment factor, Brett was there. There was the legitimate drama. Kevin Nash was always
This man almost
always.
said Kevin Hart. He almost
I,
said Kevin Hart. I
I
saw.
definitely almost said Kevin Hart. Kevin Nash again even went into movies. He
Yep.
was entertaining. He was very
That's
had me
because it was
dying.
he got into movies because he was big.
Yeah. The Diesel. This. Dan, you go. Let me think on this.
Well, for
He
me,
already
actually,
chose.
it's a no-brainer. You know, yeah, Kevin Nash, what he did in WCW was great. Also remember that he was in WCW till the very end when it wasn't so great. Bret Hart really helped birth the Attitude Era, right? He was one of the main stars in the 90s. He was who the torch was passed to when Hulk Hogan left.
Mm.
And when you talk about movies and TV and Kevin Nash, don't forget Bret Hart was in The Simpsons. So for me, it is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the excellence of execution, the hitman, Bret Hart.
Yeah, and he. To be honest, I don't know how he ended up staying after Owen, because I probably would have left. I'm gonna have to give it to him still.
He was he was gone. So when Owen's accident happened,
He
he was
was
already
gone.
in WCW. Yeah, his first match back after Owen had passed was against Chris Benoit, and it was
Oh,
in was it in Calgary? It was in WCW. I think it was in a Canadian town though.
we don't want to bring up Chris Benoit.
You're gonna hate my 2000s list then.
Oh. All right. Yeah, we're gonna go Brett.
All right, Bret Hart gets a clean sweep over Kevin Nash. Ooh. The Big Show / The Giant or Sting.
Sting?
Yeah. Now Sting, I was contemplating. I was like, okay, is he 80s? Is he 90s? He won his first championship in 91.
Really?
His first world championship in 91.
Are we going like the Giant, aka Paul, whatever he was like? He was going by Paul.
Paul Wright.
Paul.
Paul White. Paul White.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, Big Show, the Giant. Remember, he was in WCW and WWF in that time. He won his first WWF championship in 1999 at the Survivor Series after Rikishi ran over Stone Cold with his car.
Lizzo?
I hate you. I want you to know that I truly hate you.
This guy said Lizzo.
How dare you disrespect the name of Rikishi like that? He did it for The Rock, damn it. Stop.
Grandmaster Sexay?
Oh, rest in peace, buddy. Come on.
What's
I'm gonna go
what's the
Sting.
matchup again? Sting?
Sting versus the Giant. I'm gonna go Sting.
Stinger over Andre, or Stinger over Big Show?
Yeah, Sting over
Baby
Big.
Andre?
I'm going Sting as well.
Yeah.
For what he accomplished in WCW and even TNA. He was a big star there, right? He main evented. He was a world champion. When did he first bust out the Crow?
That was in mid-90s when the NWO came around. I think like 96, 97.
So massive.
Do you prefer red Sting or black and white Sting?
Ooh, Wolfpack Sting?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Bro, I love the Wolfpack.
I know you do.
I have a Wolfpack shirt still. Bro, so when I was a kid, and like that was the big thing, was like the wrestling shirts, like the Austin 316, the NWO shirts, the Rock, the DX. My mom's like, okay, you can get one shirt. And they were all there at the flea market. And I was like, Wolfpack all day. All day.
For me, the big character change and to understand that what you were doing before was failing and like it wasn't in anymore, and to adapt and become popular again because of a change, and to utilize what was happening in modern. He did it after the movie, right? Kind of used the movie to inspire him. I like that. That to me shows an ability to recognize I need to update, I need to improve, and he did that. Big Show to me never improved. He was always just a replacement for Andre the Giant. So for me, it's Sting.
Okay. I wouldn't go as far as calling him a replacement for Andre. I think that's a little harsh.
I think that's how he got the job. We'll see.
Well,
I don't know what he did afterwards, but I think that's how he got the job.
Like Bobby Lashley?
Dude, his first ever match, he won the world championship.
And he was called the Giant.
True. When you look at like Sting changing his character has always been done not so much out of, I wouldn't even call it necessity or changing with the times. He followed suit, really. Hogan went NWO and then Sting went the Crow. He didn't need to change into this like Joker-esque character when he was in TNA. There was no need for that. The Sting that we knew from the Crow era was still something we wanted to see when he was in TNA. Instead, he jumped over to dressing up like the Joker and painting his face and why so serious? Like, didn't need it. At the end of the day, when you look at Sting versus Big Show and who had the better career and the more entertaining matches, and who drew me in as a character more, it was Sting. Sting all day. Sting gets the sweep in this one for sure.
Sting, Ric Flair.
That was a great series, and we might get to that one. Ooh, okay, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Cerebral Assassin Triple H.
This is so hard. Okay, gut feeling. I'm just going off gut feeling. When you said it, who I thought of immediately, and who I thought of immediately was Stone Cold.
Gut?
If I put too much thought into it, I'm going to think Triple H.
I know.
Why not put too much thought into it?
Huh?
Why not put too much thought into it?
Because it's an entertainment industry. It's an industry that's supposed to provoke emotion. So what if I go off my emotion, which the industry is supposed to provoke? It's Stone Cold.
So it's not the hatred for DX or the hatred for Evolution or how much you wanted to see Randy Orton beat Triple H's ass. Or
no, I love DX and Evolution.
When Triple H turned on Shawn Michaels when Shawn returned, that didn't provoke that emotion.
Stone Cold to me is the ultimate badass. He's the ultimate. Every character from since him till now that is anti-authority is all based off Stone Cold Steve Austin. He has inspired Dean Ambrose. He inspired Kevin Owens and countless others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But basically, if you are anti-authority, it means you were inspired by Stone Cold, or your character at least was.
Okay.
It's funny because wasn't he part of the Authority?
Well, his
Triple H or Stone Cold?
Stone Cold.
Oh, that came way later.
I
That
know,
was the
I know.
worst ending to a WrestleMania I have ever seen in my life. In his
But
own
yeah,
hometown.
I know. It's hard. Triple H still has one of the best entrances ever. Stone Cold has one of the best after win in the ring ever. Just
He also has
huck,
great entrance.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Just huck me some beers, bro. Right? He has stunnered everybody. That Linda McMahon stunner was atrocious, but it was amazing.
Oh,
He's a true
I'll
feminist.
one up you that. And I'll say the Donald Trump stunner. The first Vince McMahon stunner was horrible. Watching Donald Trump get stunned though, like I posted on my Instagram as for 316 day, and I'm like, oh, this was so bad.
Any of the Rock stunners where he did like the backflip after?
Oh,
Priceless.
Scott Hall's were at 18, where like bounced like 8 feet in the air. Loved it.
He was a feminist. He said we're equal, and I'll treat you equal.
What?
John, how dare you?
He's a true feminist.
I'm
Equality rules.
He also beat his wife, but whatever.
Hey, why do we keep bringing this up? Let's pretend like that didn't happen.
Well,
Right?
Triple
Like,
H never beat Steph. Oh, actually,
did
he
he spray
pedigreed the
people with
shit out of
beer
Steph.
before Kurt Angle sprayed people with milk?
Yes.
Yes.
But didn't Kurt Angle spray Steve Austin with milk?
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah. Because it was during the invasion.
Yeah. As much as Triple H was a savage with DX, damn. You're right, Josh. I'm overthinking this. My heart says Stone Cold, but my head says Triple H.
Yep.
Well, I mean, look, I put him in my final four. Stone Cold has, when you talk about moments, like we just sat here and we talked about the stunner on McMahon, the stunner on Trump, the stunner on Linda, the beer bath, WrestleMania 17, as horrible as the ending was, the match was fantastic. Him passing out to the sharpshooter covered in blood. Austin 316 says, "I just whooped your ass."
Yeah.
You name moments like the Triple H, like this that Triple H had, there aren't many. Turning on Shawn might be one of them.
Turning on
Hell in a
Randy.
Cell against Undertaker. I wouldn't even say turning against Randy. I think that was more a Randy moment than it was a Triple H moment. Maybe, bringing back, like thumbs up, thumbs down, Sami Callihan style, right? Maybe the bringing back X-Pac into DX and proclaiming himself as a new leader. But again, man, it's Stone Cold, Again, WrestleMania 19 against The Rock, the retirement match. Like, when it comes to the moments that I remember the most, there are more Stone Cold moments than there are Triple H moments. I think there's really more moments that influenced wrestling as a whole from Stone Cold than there was Triple H. I don't ever remember watching a Stone Cold match and being bored. I can remember times of watching Triple H and being bored off my ass and changing the channel or wanting to watch something else. So for me, like I say, it's my final four. I'm picking Stone Cold.
It's hard to argue. Stone Cold is Stone Cold. Triple H is a longevity does help him, but it's got to be. It does have to be Stone Cold. It's clean sweep.
What's crazy is they're both capable of being Mount Rushmore.
Right? Like
just based off of Triple H's career and how he's also probably the best. He runs the best brand in WWE now. True. NXT is far better than Raw and SmackDown. That's because of him.
If you're talking wrestling booking or promoters or things like that, then yes, I'd put him up there like Vince McMahon, Triple H,
Paul
Heyman, and Eric Bischoff are probably your big four, really. Dixie Carter's not on that list. Cody, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, they haven't done enough to be on that list yet, or Tony Khan, whoever you want to call AEW. Excuse me. Like you hear all the stories about all these different promoters, but I think Triple H for what he's now done with NXT is fantastic. And what I think he's gonna do with WWE in the future. Yes, Lamar. This
Do we
guy
have any
puts his hand up like he's in school. What are you doing? Just talk over me. I will shut up eventually.
Do we have female winners in here? Like, is Trish Stratus popping up?
No, actually, this one is all male. We can come back and do a female one down the road. Actually, I think that's a good idea.
Can we do 64 female wrestlers?
No.
Maybe you'd have to break them off by years, essentially, rather than
Can
decades.
we do eight per bracket, please?
Well,
Dude, that's
you'd
probably
only be able to do like 90s. No, actually, maybe the 90s. 2000. You do like 2000 to 2005, and then 2006 to 2010.
Sure.
I mean, like, we're
We'll
gonna
do
throw
one.
in
We'll do this side
Sable
and this side.
Oh, just
You know
do
what's
2 full brackets, like 90. Well, I guess
80s, 90s.
no. Raw versus SmackDown.
Because I
Right.
literally just watched the
they're
episode of
on-
Smallville with Kane and Ashley.
And Ashley.
No, it's Kelly. Just Ashley.
Bro, those guys called her Ashley. I've heard some bad names, but bro, Ashley.
Was it Ashley?
No.
No,
It
it
was
just
Ashley
Ashley.
Massaro. She's went by Ashley.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's also dead, unfortunately.
Yes. She passed away last year, right?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
All right, next round.
All right then.
Oh, this
Wait.
one.
That was 90s?
No,
No,
we're still
no.
in the 90s. We're still in the 90s. We're just gonna,
Oh,
we're
okay.
the next one and phase away from this conversation.
Yeah.
We got the Big Red Machine Kane versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. There you go. You watched that. It's not a question.
It's not a
He's like,
question.
well, just gone.
I love
Dude went by-
Kane.
What? Oh yeah.
I love Kane, but like his
Yeah.
but it's I've used the Shawn Michaels thing as my sack dance before when I've gotten touchdowns. Like I do the full spin, hit him with the, and then bring it down. So
Oh, that's
it's
that's
HBK,
awesome.
fam.
Oh yeah, it's Shawn Michaels all day. I mean, Heartbreak Kid, Mr. WrestleMania, the icon, him coming in on that zip line at WrestleMania
yeah.
against Bret Hart going to the Iron Man match. Dude,
Mhm.
his return, every time he won a world title, it felt like it meant something.
This guy just
Just-
back.
Yeah, like that was an easy one. Josh,
Yeah.
welcome back. Hello once again, Josh.
Shawn
Good to
Michaels.
see you back. Yeah, we were
You
just
need to
explaining
wash your
why we
break-
love Shawn so much more than Kane.
Shawn's one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, 100%.
Kane had one of the best debuts of all time. When
Sure.
it comes to overall careers, Shawn Michaels hands down.
I still watched Kane and Undertaker versus MVP and I think was it Mr. Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Kane's entire career, his popularity and his trajectory and the reason he became as big as he was all based off of Undertaker's career.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, because he was also at one point Dr. Isaac Yankem, a dentist,
Okay,
Stop.
yank him,
and Fake Diesel.
fake Diesel.
Oh my soul.
And now he's a great governor.
To be fair, Stone Cold had long blonde hair before he was Stone Cold. So everyone makes mistakes.
What was he called?
To be fair, Stunning Steve Austin was also a United States champion in WCW. He also tagged with Brian Pillman as the Hollywood Blondes. That is pretty impressive.
To be fair.
Now, in all fairness, though, when you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, you're the second best in the team. Brian Pillman is one of the best wrestlers to ever have lived. To be fair.
There you go. To be fair.
Ooh, we should do a tag team one too.
Stop this, dude. I can do this all day. You know that.
I know you can.
I eventually have to go to sleep.
Exactly.
Have to go to sleep.
Yes. Me as
Oh,
well.
you're still working, aren't you?
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
dude. Still on
My
vacation.
girl's gonna be calling me soon.
All right, next up. Ooh, we got Goldberg versus The Undertaker.
It's The Undertaker.
Yeah. it's annoying because Goldberg's debut and then first how many matches he went undefeated?
187, something like
Was
that.
it? Yeah,
I
it was
don't know.
some
They said
I love Goldberg.
the jackhammer,
What?
the first jackhammer. I'm like,
I used to use his move set to make all of my characters in WWE.
Oh, like kick a hole through Bret Hart's head? Was that one of your moves?
Yeah, just basically jackhammer and spear.
Oh,
But
okay.
no, they didn't kick any holes through people's heads.
but yeah,
Um,
those jackhammers, like I don't know, man.
But
It
but
sucks, but the
Taker's
tombstone.
Dude, Bill
Taker's-
Goldberg. Don't forget, Bill Goldberg. When they announced Goldberg versus Hogan was taking place on Nitro the previous Thursday, it sold out the Superdome within 3 days. Sold out the Superdome. That's
crazy.
insane. Goldberg did some great things for WCW. At the end of the day, The Undertaker is The Undertaker. He is the Phenom. He is the Immortal One. Dude, this guy, like the legacy of the streak. Like I remember watching when that streak was broken. My
That
jaw.
guy's face.
I was that guy though. Like, I was like that. I was like that didn't happen. That, oh my god, it happened.
Yeah,
Like I think everybody had that reaction at first. Was like,
yeah.
holy shit, this actually just happened. But that was because of the legacy he built previous to that, right? Like, and you know some of his matches, like again, super entertaining, always a great character to watch, and the way that he developed, the same way that Josh was talking about before with Sting, where he started off as the original Undertaker, and then he kind of developed into like the Ministry of Darkness, the American Badass, coming back. Like, it's Undertaker for me, and I hate the fact that Goldberg is the Universal Champion right now. So yeah, Undertaker gets the sweep.
Every time I hear that bell, I think the whole place is about to get dark, and you know what I mean? Like,
No, it's true. It's true.
so
yeah,
Yeah.
he's one of the
can't tell you-
all-time greats.
I can't tell you the amount of times like I'd hear like a bell like that go off, and like I would just start playing his theme song in my head,
right?
and then him coming out of the motorbike to Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
Greatest. I think he has the greatest entrance of all time.
He's got the longest entrance of all time, and that's saying
Right.
something. When you're on the same card as Hulk Hogan and your entrance takes longer than Hulk Hogan.
The slow walk.
Oh, dude, on Raw this week he comes out on Raw. There's no fans.
How
at
is he still
CC.
wrestling?
He's fighting AJ Styles at Mania. He comes out on Raw, no fans. The ramp's like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet. The dude's in the ring like within a second. I'm like, this is an Undertaker. So I guess there's no fans, but he's also wearing like a headband, which is the weirdest thing ever. Like a long ponytail hanging out from the back. But hey, you know what? For guys in his like I think late 50s, early 60s, he's in great shape. Good for him.
Was he dressed like the American Badass?
No, he was wearing the pants, and then he has like the suspenders over his shoulders. He came out with them off, and then he was wearing like I don't know if it was like a bandana or a toque, like a skin toque. It was really weird. You gotta go back and watch it.
Was it an American flag?
No. Like it was all like I don't think we've known for the last few years, but it was weird.
Interesting.
All right, ooh. Next up, we got The Rock
Yeah,
versus
I knew that was
Mick Foley.
So whoever you said next didn't matter. As much as I love Mick Foley, The Rock.
Yep.
The Rock is the
I'm
the
sorry,
greatest
Lamar. Did you just
performer.
say yes to The
I
Rock?
mean-
Even though you chose Mankind,
That was your
Yes.
final four.
Because I remember I thought I didn't know you went like how you did, so I was like, yeah, I'll just make The Rock my 2000s, but
Oh,
I didn't even make The Rock my 2000s, but whatever. I figured such is life. The Rock is The Rock. Third generation. I was watching The Rock clips the other day. I think I shared one to Facebook like 2 days ago. Like old school Rock with his little weird hair, your jabroni, like it doesn't matter. The millions and millions. You know what I mean? Like I still do the people's elbows to people. You know what I mean?
looking like a big ball full of fruity pebbles.
Right? Like
He,
great balls of fire.
he's the most transcendent wrestler of all time. He's the most entertaining wrestler in history, in my personal opinion. He brought more. He brought the most skill as far as like not just wrestling, but like he could play guitar, he could sing, he was good on the mic, he was quick to adapt. He could be a heel and a face and excelled in both roles. For me, he's actually like no matter who he faces from this point on, I'm going to be saying The Rock. So,
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, I could say Foley because of the emotional value. Like, if there's one wrestler that brought like emotion out of me and to want to see them win and like root for that underdog, it was always Mick Foley.
I mean, but which one? Dude
Doesn't matter.
Mankind?
It didn't matter. What do you
especially
mean?
Mankind.
It didn't matter. Him versus Shawn was like as Mankind. When he was a bad guy, I still want to see him win because it was the underdog factor. The Hell in a Cell where he got thrown off the cell and then thrown through the cell. His tooth came through his lip into his nose.
The I Quit match.
Socko?
This guy busts out his sock.
That was in the cell.
At the end of the day, though, it's The Rock. It's People's Champ. You know, it's the iconic one. So I'm gonna say sleep on The Rock on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rock and Sock connection.
Ooh, all right. So now we got this is an interesting one for me actually. Big fans of both of these guys. We got Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, versus Owen Hart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couldn't Mankind have faced one of these guys instead?
Right?
I don't know, man. I still might take Owen Hart.
Yeah. Owen Hart, incredible technical wrestler. Canadian boy. Hart Foundation.
A tragedy.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
What could have been.
What could have been and what looked like it was gonna be. Like it was. You want to talk in-ring performances? I mean, one of the best matches of all time. Again, you go back to that top 5 of people's WrestleMania matches. It's him versus Brett. Owen Hart in the ring, I think, was better than Brett. I don't think he could be touched by many people. Diamond Dallas Page had a great story when it came to his build, from how he started off as, you know, he was managing Scott Hall as the Diamond Stud in WCW in the early 90s to going on to win the championship. You know, him going up against Randy Savage and hitting his Diamond Cutter on Savage, and that just kind of like propelled him into that next level category. When you look at careers, and I guess, you know, you can't really say what could have been, but what was, DDP really was a pivotal factor in the rise of WCW. As much as I love Owen, Owen Hart was definitely the better of the two wrestlers when it comes to that sports entertainment factor and that performance factor and what was versus what could have been. It's DDP is what was a deciding factor in WCW for that long term in those 83 weeks, right? So I'm going DDP.
My emotions are probably taking over, but I'm going to go Owen Hart.
Okay.
I haven't chosen the technical wrestler in any of the other previous matchups, right? I've been choosing based off of entertainment value. My thing is, what could he have been? What would Brett have been if Owen was still around? Like, would Brett have become second fiddle? This is hard for me. Ultimately, I think this person's going to face The Rock next.
No, this person is not going to face The Rock next, actually.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Diamond Dallas Page because of what was.
Okay. So DDP 2-1. All right, this is the last one for the 90s. Oh.
Ken Shamrock.
No. The only reason one of these guys is going to make it to the round of 32 is because of who they're going up against. We got Yokozuna versus Sid Vicious.
Go Lamar. Go Lamar.
Go Lamar.
This guy loves Sid Vicious.
Dude, the
My
power
guy.
versus the bonsai drop. Dude, okay, so I'm going to say right now I'm taking Yokozuna.
I'm taking Yokozuna as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't even give Lamar a chance to go. All right, so Lamar, Sid Vicious, Yokozuna, clean sweep or not?
Let's do it, man.
I'm going to say that's a clean sweep then, I guess. All right, so Yokozuna goes on to face DDP next round. All right, so now we're on to the 2000s. Oh, these aren't even fair.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, this isn't even a fair matchup right now. Okay. So the first match of the 2000s is the five-time, actually six-time World Heavyweight Champion Booker T versus the Rated R Superstar Edge. Josh, I can see that you're coming again. What's going on here?
You know exactly who I'm choosing.
I know who you're choosing.
Do I even need to say it?
Probably not.
It's Edge, man.
So for me, again, it's much of the same. Like,
Emotional. Who
dude,
tugs at my heartstrings?
dude,
My favorite, some of my favorite moments.
WrestleMania 17, Hardy's, ENC, Dudley Boys.
Yeah. Tag team wrestling, what he
Dude.
did for tag team wrestling.
Him as a heel wrestler. For me, it's no question. So for us two, it's Edge. Edge is going through. We get that. Lamar, is it a clean sweep, or are you going to pick the six-time champion?
So, well, I'm gonna start off by saying this: he's a terrible commentator. I don't know who gave him that
Horrible.
job.
His podcast isn't that bad.
He's the Spinaroonie. He was entertaining. Said nigga on live TV.
Yeah, but so did Vince McMahon.
Hulk Hogan. Hogan, we coming for you, ninja.
He owned the television title in WCW. He lent it out for a week or two here and there. But it's Edge.
You think
Edge
you
is a
know?
clean sweep.
I still have his theme song downloaded on my Spotify.
Yeah.
You think you know me?
You can't and every theme song he's had really has been great. Like his
I also
original
love
one.
him in Vikings.
Yes, he's pretty good in Vikings too.
Wait,
It's good to
Edge
see
is
he's back.
Vikings?
Yeah, Edge is in Vikings.
I'm gonna have to watch it now. I was debating watching it, but I'm gonna have to
Great
watch
show.
it.
Great show. All right, we've got the Animal Batista versus the Rabid Wolverine Chris Benoit.
Okay, this is very difficult because wrestling skill, Benoit's not being touched.
No.
Not being touched.
Craziness,
also-
Benoit's not being touched.
Submission wrestling, the diving headbutt, one of my favorite finishing moves in
The
wrestling
crossface.
while he was in the Rolling Germans. Oh,
The crossface. The moment with him and Eddie in the ring at WrestleMania 20.
yeah, like the iconic matches. And didn't he have an incredible match against Angle as well?
Dude, he's had several. Him versus
Yeah.
Angle versus Jericho at Mania, I think 2000, and then him versus Angle at Mania 17.
My
Or was it
favorite
18?
United States
Might have been
champion
18.
ever. My favorite United States champion ever.
Yeah.
That belt meant something
Mhm.
when he was wrestling. Outside
But
of
then-
wrestling, horrible.
Yeah.
Batista, an absolute monster. Not necessarily great on the mic. Great intro, great entrance. Used to really like his entrance. Yep.
Yep.
Um,
I Walk Alone by Saliva, great theme.
World champion, dominant wrestler. Really did. He actually was very good at picking up the energy in matches. A lot of guys since Batista have kind of learned from Batista, um, with like entering a match and like blowing people up kind of thing. Being the powerhouse of a faction, he's a big star in that position. But for me, it's Chris Benoit.
Oh boy.
All right, so Lamar, what's your pick on this one?
I chose the murderer. I don't know what to say.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what to say.
You look so disappointed in yourself right now.
This is like not choosing Ken Griffey Jr.
I was really hoping he wasn't going to be on the list. I really did want to have to pick him.
So don't.
I was
So
hoping
bad.
it was going to be him versus Eddie. It would have been an easy decision for me.
You know what I mean? Like, if you go entertainment factor, as terrible of an actor as Batista is, he's still entertaining as hell.
And his reflexes are so fast.
He catches it.
Nothing goes over his head. He would have cut it.
Like that. I saw him in episode of Smallville the other day again too. I was like,
The Leviathan.
yeah, like he's got his
That was
own
it.
the Batista
The funny thing is,
bomb.
that was his name in OVW too, was Leviathan.
Really? I'm
Mhm.
not a fan of the belly button tattoo. That was throwing me off.
The back tattoo is legit, though.
Yeah. But you're right, Josh. As a wrestler, even though he's a psychopath, I'm going to have to go Chris Benoit.
So we like, just so you guys are aware, you're horrible human beings for picking Chris Benoit. With that being said, I'm a horrible human being as well. I'm picking Chris Benoit. So, I mean,
He's
look, as much as what he did was despicable, disgusting, horrendous, all these different things you can say about it. We're talking about wrestlers and their performances and, who you thought was the best. And between the two, yeah, it's Benoit. As much as I hate to
Yeah.
have to give him any credit right now. It's true.
imagine a United States Championship match between Benoit and Owen Hart in their primes.
Ooh.
Dude, remember that we were this close to getting Chris Benoit versus CM Punk. It was that weekend that it all happened, that it was Chris Benoit versus CM Punk. That match never happened because of the tragedy that occurred.
To be honest, you think all those stinking flying headbutts had anything to do with him snapping?
Oh, definitely. Injuries, drugs,
Concussions, yeah, like
concussions.
100%.
Like
I remember him in a
Hernandez.
cage
A
match.
drinking problem.
Yeah. Like, I remember him in a cage match. All he had to do was climb down the cage and he wins. This guy's like, flying headbutt. Like, what?
Yeah, but Kurt Angle's done moonsaults off the cage before. I think it's like the chair shots. I don't blame him so much on the flying head, but he didn't remember. I remember watching those, and he'd always bring his arms in. He never really connected head to head with anybody. I think it was more like chair shots and probably getting hit in the head with a punch or something like that. On top of that, you have your steroids, you have your drinking abuse, things like that. And it sucks. His entire legacy is going to be remembered for that. Truthfully.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Brock Lesnar next.
No, not quite.
CM Punk's got to be on this list.
Randy Orton. Eddie
bad.
Guerrero.
Oh.
So
no.
I'm watching your brains melt right now. This is great.
Oh no. I think this is hurting Josh more than it's hurting me, to be honest.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. I don't think in ring Randy touches Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero, I think, had many more title reigns to come. He had a great legacy. You talk about the SmackDown 6. We've already put through 2 of the SmackDown 6 at this point in Edge and Benoit. Eddie Guerrero was another one of the SmackDown 6 that really brought SmackDown to the forefront during the brand split era. Sure, like Randy is a legend and will be going to the Hall of Fame. Eddie's already there, and he's there for a reason. So from his matches in WCW against guys like Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio, his matches
Forgot
in
about Dean
ECW,
Malenko.
yeah, his matches in ECW against Benoit, Too Cool Scorpio, to his moment of winning the WWE Championship against Brock Lesnar. For me, no brainer. I'm saying Eddie Guerrero.
Who did
Those
we
are-
have? Who did we have Owens against? Not Owens. Owen Hart against.
DDP.
Okay, go ahead, Lamar.
Those RKO's though. But honestly, I love Randy.
Randy very much became a pop culture figure with the RKO to nowhere.
Yeah, and those punts. But as even out of the ring, Eddie Guerrero is so much more entertaining than Randy Orton. Like, I lie, I cheat, I steal. The music, like you hear Eddie Guerrero's theme song, you're like, hey, this man comes in with a low rider with the hydraulics, like he had that smirk when he was doing something stupid, that frog splash.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to go Eddie.
This is very difficult for me.
I know it is. These are two of your favorites.
The only thing harder for me would have been like if you had Randy versus Edge or AJ versus Cena. This is hard for me because Eddie Guerrero is one of the guys that we miss the most.
Yeah.
He is celebrated by everybody in wrestling. It's kind of controversial to say, but he suffered from a lot of the same things that Benoit suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was one of those first guys that was considered too small by Vince McMahon to then go on to the WWE Championship.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna build a wrestler today, if you're gonna build somebody, Eddie has almost everything that you'd want them to have. The only thing missing from Eddie is you'd want them to look like Randy, right? Randy, the JBL always made a statement when JBL was. I'm surprised JBL wasn't on our previous lists, by the way. But JBL made a statement when he was announcing that if you were to build a sports entertainer from the ground up, it'd be Randy Orton. And I say yes, appearance-wise, but not heart. What they put on the mat, what they put into their promotion, what they put into like the emotion that we got out of watching them accomplish things. Eddie, by far, outdoes Randy in those. So, but my like you said, Eddie by far better wrestler. Randy Orton is one of the smoothest in-ring practitioners I have ever seen. The way he transitions from one move to the other. Now, obviously, he's gotten rusty over time. He's not as smooth as he once was. But in his prime, he was clean. He still has my favorite snap power slam off the ropes.
Yep.
So clean looking. And obviously the RKO is a really clean finisher. Like it's very aesthetically pleasing to watch. That being said, first of all, the RKO is just a cutter, but it's a running cutter.
Kind of like a jumping cutter.
The jumping cutter, sure. So he's basically just another move. Everybody does the frog splash because they grew up Eddie fans, right? He's also a really good blueprint for the modern day heel, right? Because he's the bad guy, but we love hating him.
Randy or Eddie? Randy?
Yeah.
Eddie, like we still love you, even though we're not supposed to. That's Eddie. Like he was really good at that. So for me, it's Eddie. Although Randy's one of my absolute favorite all-time wrestlers, it's Eddie.
There's one thing I'll say there that I really like about both of them, though, is they both know how to, in this day and age where it's so cool to like the bad guy, they can make you hate the bad guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, you look at Eddie with the whole Dominic story with Ray, where he was like, Dominic's my son, he's not actually yours. And then you look at Randy, like, punting Stephanie McMahon, RKOing Beth Phoenix. Like, you want to hate these guys, and that's what I love about them. Actually, that's what I love about this matchup is it's two guys that know how to actually make you as heels want to hate them. So Eddie goes on, both fantastic, no question about it though.
Yeah. If Eddie was still wrestling today, they would both be surefire Hall of Famers, but I wonder what Eddie would be right now. Like, what kind of legacy would he have?
He'd be a multi-time world champion, still be Hall of Fame. That is not going to change.
Yeah.
I think he'd probably like a producer or something in the back right now, helping guys out.
I feel like he would have his own promotion, maybe even to build up Latin American wrestlers and send them on into the world, kind of thing.
Yeah, quite possible.
Mm.
Oh my God. So, like, much how Josh has had a couple faces there that are orgasmic, I'm having my moment right now. This is going to be the hardest one, I think, for me to actually do.
Okay.
Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle.
Ooh.
Yes.
This is easy for me,
Okay,
so I'll kick it off for you.
go.
All-time greatest wrestlers on the mic. You have Ric Flair. You have The Rock. You have Chris Jericho. Mic skills are a massive part of wrestling, and the crowd reaction, the way he gets like people genuinely are excited for that light up jacket when it hits the stage, right? One of the most iconic entrances ever. Successful career outside of wrestling. Has been a star everywhere he goes, not just WWE, WCW. Undisputed champion.
First ever.
He beat, who was it, Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night?
Yep.
Yeah.
The fourth man in that mix was Kurt Angle too.
As much as I love Bret Hart, Chris Jericho is the greatest Canadian wrestler of all time, in my opinion.
Wow. Bold statement.
The Walls of Jericho, iconic finishing move. So for me, it's Chris Jericho.
That Lion Salt.
The Lion Salt, yeah. Codebreaker recently. The List.
This is hard. Like everything you just said about Jericho. Kurt Angle wasn't bad on the mic. Wasn't great on the mic. It's pretty good. Olympic medalist. That wrestling background.
Gold medalist, an Olympic gold
medalist. Yes.
Do not forget that part.
With a broken freaking
neck.
It's real.
It's true. It's damn true.
Was he the first one in that haircut match? So when he went bald?
Yep, him versus Edge. Yep.
There's that. I like you said was it Benoit with the suplexes, the Germans in a row. I love Kurt with that, the ankle breaker. I've used that on occasion.
Incredible wrestler.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He gave me Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas.
World's greatest.
And then Shelton Benjamin versus Shawn Michaels is still one of the most ridiculous matches I've seen.
True. Very true.
You knew it was serious when he put the straps down. A couple times he put the straps down, had to put them back up, just to put them back down again. This is hard for me. I honestly don't even know where I'm going here. I'm torn. I might have to go Angle.
Damn, let's come down to me.
He makes Dan decide.
Oh, this is not the matchup I wanted in the 64. Like I was cool with this being, maybe my round of 16 or my round of 8. Did not want it this round. I mean, what Angle did from going from not knowing anything about wrestling to what he accomplished, the moonsault off the cage, the matches that these two had, the matches that they had with Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, both of these guys are part of the SmackDown 6, which is really difficult. But I said I was going to make this a deciding factor, so I think there's only one way to decide it, and I'm deciding it with a shirt I'm wearing right now. It's the Inner Circle shirt. I'm going Chris Jericho on this one.
I had a feeling.
And it's not for any reason really it's not for performance because they're both great performers. In ring, they're equal. On the mic, I actually enjoy both of them. It's longevity and it's evolution of character, and to see what Jericho has done with his character from when he was in WCW and viewed as just a cruiserweight to calling out Goldberg, to going into WWE, debuting, having what I consider the best debut of all time, calling out or interrupting The Rock with the countdown. The Festival
Stephanie
of Friendship.
McMahon.
Yeah, dude, and then even today in AEW, the fact that to this day he is still considered one of the best in the world, I have to give him the W in this one. And it hurts me because I really these are two guys that I really enjoy, and I wish that Angle was in better health because I'd love to see them do a match down the road again. So Jericho gets the win.
Clean sweep. No, didn't get a clean sweep. This guy chose
not.
Angle.
Guy, it was hard, bro. I was this close to going Jericho.
This guy chose Jason Jordan's dad. I don't know, man.
Speaking of dads, we got the Beast Incarnate, the part-timer, the current WWE champion, versus the charismatic enigma, Jeff Hardy. So we're talking a dude that, walked away from wrestling, went and tried the NFL, tried the CFL, left football, went on to have an MMA career that some people consider to be, I won't call him one of the best heavyweights of all time, but one of the best to ever have done it within his, his rookie year. And a former UFC heavyweight champion versus Jeff Hardy, who is a guy who very much influenced, a lot of wrestlers you see today that are high flyers. You look back to, WrestleMania 2000 with his ladder match against ENC and the Dudley, WrestleMania 17, the TLC match, his match against Undertaker in the ladder match, him jumping off of countless things. For me, if I'm picking the best, I'm going Jeff Hardy, because throughout the 90s, early 2000s, into when he was in TNA, Jeff Hardy was always my favorite wrestler. So I got to stick with my guy, Jeff. Not to take away from what Brock has done. I mean, look at his rookie year. His rookie year, he was a Royal Rumble winner, King of the Ring winner, main evented in what is considered one of the best main events of WrestleMania history against Kurt Angle, where he broke his neck performing a shooting star press, and then continued the match.
I don't know how he managed that one.
I don't think anybody does. But for me, it's still Jeff. Jeff is my guy, always will be.
Lamar.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jeff
Lamar,
Hardy is a psychopath. I don't know how. I don't know how he continuously gets up and, well, other than the painkillers, which he's been fired for like 8 times.
He
I don't
just
know
came
how.
back.
I don't know how he keeps getting up and doing the same, those swantons off like 80. That's why everyone's like, wrestling's fake. It's not fake. It's staged. You can't fake live jumping off a 30-foot ladder into 8 tables. Okay,
It's an athletic play.
there you go. Right? So,
Yeah.
Jeff's crazy. The Hardys were always one of my favorite tag teams. But the amount of times I F5 my nephew or my little brother, Oh man, Brock was just sheer dominance when he got in here. They try to replace him with a black guy, Bobby Lashley, BL. I love Bobby Lashley. That's my guy. But he ain't no Brock Lesnar. I'm gonna have to go Brock on this one.
All right, Josh, you're the deciding factor.
I'm hearing what y'all saying. What's wrestling is sports entertainment. So Brock's got the sports down. Brock's the more accomplished athlete.
NCAA champion.
NCAA champion, one of the best collegiate wrestlers of all time. I think he went unpinned his entire collegiate career.
Correct.
That's crazy.
The only guy he lost to went on to win a gold medal at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. He transitioned that skill to being a UFC champion. He was a legitimate UFC champion.
When you out wrestle Randy Couture, you can be considered legitimate at that point.
Yeah, and Frank Mir.
I only wrestled him.
Yeah, grappled him.
Remember that second fight?
Oh, yeah, the second fight. That's what I mean.
That was a different Frank Mir, though.
Scared the crap out of Heath Herring.
He punched him backwards. Like, that man did a backwards roll because he got punched so hard.
But this isn't about all of that. This is about WWE. And WWF, WCW, this is only about wrestling entertainment. And because of that, more entertaining wrestler, the guy who has been a great singles competitor and tag team, and one would argue the best tag team of all time, or at least debatable, it's at least in the conversation. Definitely part of the best tag matches of all time. We gave Edge the edge because of what he's done and the emotion that he's given us. Jeff Hardy, unfortunately, was gone for a while from WWE because of the drug use. But I even liked Willow. Like, I thought this is a guy who's constantly trying to reinvent himself, and he doesn't just want to be the Hardy Boys, right? Same thing could be said for Matt Hardy. Broken Hardy is super impressive.
One of the best gimmicks of the decade.
Brother Nero is kind of just addition to that. Yep. But still, constantly reinventing himself, the epitome of the Attitude Era. Like, if you want to talk about, like, you know what I mean? Like edgy and covered in tattoos and jumping off of stuff and anti-authority and I'm gonna paint my freaking face and I'm going to break my neck and whatever else I need to break to put on a good match. Balls to the wall, and you could never say that you saw a Jeff Hardy match and you didn't get your money's worth. And I think you could say that about Brock Lesnar.
Fair. Very true.
So Jeff Hardy wins, in my opinion.
All right, so Jeff goes 2-1. All right. Next up, we got Rob Van Dam versus Rey Mysterio.
619 versus the 5-star Frog Splash.
Damn.
For me, this is really easy, so I'll kick it off.
Okay.
I get no emotion from Rob Van Dam. To me, he's just a good wrestler, entertaining guy, mid-carder, good ECW guy. Rey Mysterio has one of the greatest stories ever. His WrestleMania win after the passing of Eddie Guerrero literally broke my heart. I have not been that emotional watching a WrestleMania win ever since then. That's number one for me as far as emotional feedback. And name a more iconic luchador on the grandest stage of them all. He represents an entire genre, an entire style of wrestling to a modern day base, and even back in the 90s. So like it's iconic, ongoing. He's inspired luchadors from then till now. I have a feeling that his son is going to be also a great wrestler. It seems like he's going to debut sometime soon. So yeah, for me, it's Rey Mysterio.
Okay. So I'm gonna take this one next because I'm gonna go a different way here. Picking Rob, and the reason I'm picking Rob is because as much as yes, that story of Eddie or Rey winning the world title after the passing of Eddie, that was more the story of the passing of Eddie than it was the story of Rey Mysterio.
Sure.
It was great to see that moment. It's more what they did with it afterwards. Everything led to that moment where Rey won the title. And from there, everything after that didn't mean anything. Much like when Rob won the WWE Championship at One Night Stand against John Cena after winning the Money in the Bank. So I take both of those out because they kind of equal each other out because I think that was more the build of the story that had nothing to do with them, but more had to do with, the story surrounding them. So I start looking at matches. I think back to things like Rob versus Jeff Hardy, Rob versus Jericho, Rob versus Eddie, Rob versus Mysterio. So those will kind of cross each other there. Rob versus Jerry Lynn, Rob versus Rhino. And when it comes down to the match types, like, yes, you have Rey versus Matt Hardy at WrestleMania 19 was a great match. Rey versus Eddie Guerrero, Rey versus Dean Malenko, Rey versus Chris Benoit. When I go back and I watch those matches, I realized that Rob had more of those matches that I was more intrigued in and really wanted to watch and more entertained by than it was so much Rey Mysterio. They're both great. I think this is actually a great matchup to have between these two because they're very similar styles. I give the edge to Rob more for the performance basis that I was just more entertained by his matches. Rey's a great storyteller, don't get me wrong, but I prefer Rob as a performer than I do as Rey. So that means deciding factor comes down to you, Lamar.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I was trying to think what's more iconic, that 5-star frog splash or that 619. Even the entrance, like when Rey, yeah, right, when he popped up out the thing, out the, you know what I'm trying to say, and it's like, yo, there you go, Rey.
Rob Van Dam, 5-star frog splash off of the chamber. Yeah, I'm trying to sway my boat right now.
Guy, Rey Mysterio's still putting on great matches. His match against Andrade, he's still doing it.
When it comes to longevity, I would give it to Rey. I think the best thing that ever happened to Rey Mysterio was actually leaving the WWE. When he left and went to like AAA and New Japan and things like that,
Lucha.
I wasn't a fan of him and Lucha, to be honest.
No?
When he went to like AAA, but like that's where like him coming back was so beneficial because he looked so much better when he left. So like longevity wise, I'm gonna give it to Rey there, but like I said, entertainment wise for matches from the 2000s.
Oh, it's crazy. I remember, Josh, you'll remember this. Remember we used to watch Heroes?
Yep.
And the black girl could see something and then imitate it, and then she just happened to look by and Rey Mysterio hit the 619 and then she did it.
Yeah.
Oh man, just stuff like that. Like Rey, like I'm trying to think of moments for the two of them. Like I remember Rey getting unmasked and then getting his mask back and stuff, and just I'm gonna have to go Rey on this one still.
All right, so Rey goes on 2-1.
Yo, Lamar, your mic is dragging on your jacket, and it's causing crazy feedback.
My blunder.
Oh, this isn't fair.
Uh-oh.
So we got John Cena versus Captain Charisma, Christian.
It's John Cena.
I wanted Christian to go exactly. I wanted Christian to go on to the next round. I really did.
Ruthless.
Aggression.
If you talk
Right?
about a guy that, well, that's it. Like if you talk about a guy
That
that's,
he actually wore spandex before he started rapping.
you talk about a guy, I hate you, that really defined like the ruthless aggression era. It's John Cena, which sucks because I mean like Christian was great. I think Christian is one of the most underrated wrestlers that I think true like diehard fans know how great he was. Him and TNA's Christian Cage was some of the best stuff I've ever seen, and allowed him to really show his character. But much like how I said, Ray's story of winning the championship wasn't much about Eddie. Christian's story of winning the championship was much about Edge. So it's Cena for me.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep.
Yeah. All right.
Won 16, 17 championships, something like that.
Word life.
Basic thugonomics.
All right. So we got the last one for the 2000s here. Okay, interesting. We've got Shelton Benjamin
My dog.
versus JBL.
Oh, hell.
This is
So-
difficult. This is super difficult.
Somebody that Lamar said had one of the best matches he's ever seen alongside Shawn Michaels and Shelton Benjamin versus JBL, who is a guy that many
Put John Cena on the map.
put John Cena on that, but many viewed him as the only reason he was champion was because Triple H didn't want to work Thursdays. But he made that belt mean something. And you look back to his rivalry versus Eddie Guerrero. Again, going back to a heel that made me hate him.
Yep.
Him versus Eddie, I hated JBL. Because, truth be told, I mean, at the end of the day, it was racist. He was racist. He was a piece of shit. You know, like, I didn't grow up as, you know, I didn't grow up with wealth in my life. I grew up, you know, in, you know, a lower income family. So for someone to like flaunt their wealth as openly as he did, like I kind of like that took a personal thing for me where I was like, I hate that you do this. So he was really to draw that emotion from me, and I wanted to see him lose. So when he beat Eddie Guerrero, I was mad. I was real angry about that one. On the flip side, you have Shelton Benjamin, one of the most talented in-ring performers I've ever seen, most underutilized performers I've ever seen.
Yep.
Him and Charlie Haas in a tag team was great. Him as a singles competitor was great. I do think that he definitely deserved a world title run. However, I do think that because of his mic work ability, he did not get that opportunity.
Fair.
I think that mic work has a lot to do with it. Match-wise, Shelton Benjamin. Character-wise, JBL. Pure entertainment-wise, for why I wanted to watch the show, JBL.
Yeah, I had a feeling you're gonna go that way.
I didn't want to. I
I
don't
know
want
you didn't.
that emotional, like that draw from me.
Go
That
Lamar.
made- I wanted to watch to see him lose.
I don't know. JBL really messed me up because I literally, for the first while, had no idea that was Bradshaw from Farouk and Bradshaw.
From APA days?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Like for the first, you know what I mean? Like for the first bit, I'm like, yo, Bradshaw Layfield, like who's this guy? And then I took it in. I was like, wait, this black-haired, beard-having, beer-drinking guy just turned into this, right? So it's like, the character development was crazy there. I did like Shelton Benjamin with his little faction with Charlie Haas and Kurt Angle. Like I said, that's still one of the greatest matches I've seen. When he got Sweet Chin Music off that top rope, I almost fell out my seat.
Dude, like, it's so much so that, like, we're now in 2020. That match happened back in, like, 02, 03. And that move is technically, like, it's still in video games today. Like, you can still hit a springboard and catch a guy with the Sweet Chin Music. That was an iconic move to the point where they actually put it into the intro of Raw for so long because of just how amazing it was.
Yeah. And, like, to get a match like that on Raw, I was like, this is crazy.
Right?
But he never got the shine he was supposed to, or based off his mic work, because so he didn't have the entertainment factor that JBL had, which sucks because his in-ring performance was crazy. I have to go JBL. I'm
Ooh.
pissed.
I
I
thought
do
you would have
not.
went Shelton.
I do not want to do this,
I can tell.
but if I'm being honest, even as a commentator, JBL still entertaining as all hell.
Factual. So Josh,
Hurt me, but yeah.
Man, wasn't Shelton Benjamin the golden standard or something like
yep, that was one of his gimmicks.
that? That FCW class, that was Cena, Brock, Shelton, and Randy?
Randy,
And
Batista. I think those are the big names come out of it, really.
Who's the least iconic wrestler of that class?
Shelton.
Yeah. JBL and Shelton were both good, part of great tag teams. I would argue JBL's finisher is far more iconic.
He killed people.
When they came back for
He took people's heads off with that thing.
The Raw reunion.
Yeah.
And
he took the shirt off. We're like, yeah.
Yo, JBL, he was probably the only heel in the entire time I watched wrestling that I legitimately hated.
Really?
I was like, I can't stand that guy.
There you go.
There's a couple for me, but he's definitely one of them.
He's the only guy where it was like, I know this isn't real, but I'm genuinely upset. Whereas other guys, I'm like, oh, that's great heel work. I didn't say that with JBL. I said, screw that guy.
Fair.
For me, as a longtime Cena fan, JBL also put him on the map. Cena winning against JBL changed Cena's entire career. That was a great match.
That I Quit match where Cena just like gushed blood, like him winning at Mania, we all kind of expected it. But that I Quit match where he was just like you talk about the Muda scale for bloodshed, like Eddie Guerrero versus JBL, Eddie, yeah, everywhere. John Cena against JBL, just John everywhere. Like it's.
I like Shelton Benjamin a lot. Obviously, so I'll say what it is. It's not just might skills. He got benched because he was black. The man should have been pushed a lot more. Kurt Angle wasn't that great on the mic until WWE trained him how to be good on the mic, right? Brock Lesnar is atrocious on the mic, and they gave him a manager. They gave him a manager to push him. They gave him a manager to make him something. They could have done the same thing with Shelton Benjamin. They chose not to. If they wanted to make him a star, they could have. Shelton Benjamin is an incredible wrestler. His technique was high level. I believe him and Brock were both at Minnesota together, actually as collegiate wrestlers. So as far as a base to build off of, they had the exact same base. And he had the tag team to build off of, so he could have turned on his tag team partner, which he did, but he could have had like a far better launching pad. So I believe that WWE kind of screwed over Shelton Benjamin.
So yes, Brock and Shelton did go to
JBL.
Sorry. Okay, Brock and Shelton did go to Minnesota together. That's why they were actually in OVW, known as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. So yeah, I think they're actually roommates as well in Minnesota.
That's why they hugged it out at the Royal Rumble, and then Brock tossed him out.
Yeah, which I would have loved to see those two as a tag team. Like I think that would have been a good way to actually propel Shelton now.
There's a lot of things
to the next level. Well, a
Mm.
lot of things they could do, they just don't do, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that was it for the 2000s. We are now on to the 2010s, the now era, whatever era we're currently in, the network era, whatever you want to call it. That's what this one is. This one here, now I took a little bit outside. I had to go a little bit outside of the realm of just WWE. So I had to bring out the indie nerd almost in me a little bit here. So you guys should all know who these guys are. Remember they are. Lamar, I'll give you a refresher if you don't. But when I say the name, you might not remember. But when I tell you about them, you might. So first up, Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
So Cody
Oh
Rhodes,
my
don't forget,
goodness.
Cody Rhodes right now, as a promo, amazing. In-ring, amazing. Leading what has very quickly become the number 2 company in the world. Versus Kevin Owens, who in-ring, amazing. On the mic, amazing. And many will say that he should be the top guy in WWE right now. For me, this is a hard one. I think back to Kevin Owens on the indie scene when he was Kevin Steen. And for a long time there, he dominated the indie scene. He was the guy in PWG, the guy in Ring of Honor, the guy to book anywhere you could. Versus Cody, who once he left the WWE became the guy in New Japan, the guy in Ring of Honor, and now the guy in AEW. A lot of people will say that Cody on the mic is number 1, Kevin is probably number 2, or vice versa. It's really hard to tell. When I think about the 2010s as a whole, I have to give the edge to Owens, Universal Champion. The angle he worked with Chris, but going back to the days of Ring of Honor, he was a champion there. Days of PWG, he was a champion there. There's a reason why he was considered the top guy for so long in the indies versus Cody, who's had a challenge against a lot of other names. Kevin Owens on the indies was at the same time that Adam Cole was on the indies. Will Ospreay was on the indies. Ricochet was on the indies. So I'm going to give the edge to Owens in this one. I'm taking Owens. And that's just based on how long Owens was at the top of wherever he may have been at the time.
Lamar.
Oh boy. This is hard.
I just remember that. Cody Rhodes is my number 3 wrestler of all time right now. Or sorry, of today.
Oh, both sales like of all time. I know it's Dusty Sun versus Kevin Owens.
Grandson of a plumber.
Yeah. Cody's a reckless man, but I'm gonna have to give it to Kevin Owens.
Dude, Kevin Owens is a reckless man. You watch some of the stunts he's pulled off, that man is reckless.
At his size, I don't know how he does what he does. Hold up.
Josh,
I got
don't
wifey
forget,
called me.
Cody Rhodes, born in Georgia. Kevin Owens, Montreal.
Oui. Parlez-vous français? Je suis français. Yes. Anyways.
Oui.
Oui.
I don't speak French. Come on now.
I just made up a lot of crap.
Oh, okay. You fooled me.
Those weren't words.
Parlez-vous français? That's a real word.
Okay. Comment ça va?
Ah. Je m'appelle Dan. Comment t'appelles-tu?
That's because you put a little
bonjour, Lamar!
I bet.
Okay.
Josh.
So, this is interesting because I can hear myself on somebody's.
Yeah, I can hear you too, echoing.
Okay, hello? Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good.
This is interesting because it's the 2010 list. And if we're going 2010 till just 2020, I would argue you guys both KO. Just because of if you were to compare KO's 10 years to Cody's basically 2. right? Because Cody in WWE was very underutilized. Stardust, let's forget it ever happened, but he loses points for Stardust, loses points.
Fair.
And like I actually liked Handsome Cody or whatever it was. That was pretty jokes. Dashing Cody Rhodes. I liked that. But he ultimately was a tag team wrestler for most of his time in WWE. And that's our lingering thoughts of him. Tag team and Intercontinental Champion. Fair?
Yep.
Kevin Owens, there is not a WWE fan in the world, I think, that doesn't think that he is a main eventer, just not being main evented, right? Now, if you talked well about his ROH and indie stuff, NXT, Kevin Owens put on some of the best matches in NXT history. He had a great rivalry with Sammy, of course. I believe Finn. He rivaled with Finn, Shinsuke, and Samoa Joe.
Finn beat him for the title in Japan. That was Finn's big return to Japan. And he pulled one of the best heel moves ever because in Japan, and it's a custom that when you have these big main events, you bring a bouquet of flowers. And he hucked the flowers into the ramp. Like, dude.
Did KO face Brock in Japan too? Or who faced him?
No, that was Kofi. Kofi faced Brock that year in Japan.
Okay. Yeah. So KO and Finn was the undercard of that? Was the co-main?
There was a co-main.
Japan card. Brock was the main event, I think.
It was the Beast in the East was what the card was called. It was based around Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston.
Really?
Yeah.
At that time?
Which looking back, well, no, that was back when the New Day were heels. So looking back on it, it's like
that's weird. Kofi was given a main event then?
No, it was. I think that was actually the I'm pretty sure that the main event was actually Owens versus Finn because that was Finn's return to Japan.
So he had iconic NXT matches. I would argue until Adam Cole, he's been my favorite NXT champion of all time.
Really?
Big fan of Finn, of course. Big fan of Neville, now Pac, as well. But Kevin Owens, I just really liked his title run. Even though it wasn't that long, he had incredible matches. I really felt like he had to defend his title. So he goes on to main roster and feuds again with Sammy, has an incredible bit with Chris Jericho that was awesome. Could have been actually more than what it was. It could have been a title involved. And then
there was the U.S. title involved in it, but it should have been the Universal.
We're the U.S. champions. And then ultimately he's a Universal champion. He should still be today. I think this thing between him and if Seth was the Messiah and the champion, and Owens was fighting him for the belt, I would be super into that.
I'm more pumped for that match than I am for Brock versus Drew McIntyre.
Facts.
Yep.
Facts. They're also better workers. So, but yeah, for me,
Drew's pretty good.
For me, it's Kevin Owens, and that's just because of his 10 years is better than Cody's 2 years. But Cody's 2 years, if we were to compare 2 for 2, Cody's 2 years are probably actually better than Kevin during that period of time.
Yeah.
And Cody's future looks brighter than Kevin's.
So you're going Owens.
I'm going Owens just because of the decade rule. But if we were to say today, I'd say Cody.
All right. So Kevin Owens gets the sweep. Right. I think the more developed would be Cody right now. All right. Next up, we've got CM Punk versus Kofi Kingston. Whew.
So this isn't easy for me, although I love Kofi. I love the New Day. The New Day is one of the best factions ever.
Yep.
A lot of people think it's not a lot of people, but there's many people who may think it's just a joke. It is incredible that they went from basically being 3 guys that could have been cut, a faction that was put together and the WWE gave them a horrible plan of attack. They almost scrapped the faction altogether, and then they begged for the opportunity to do their own thing and just killed it. And they've been killing it since. It's one of the best factions ever, one of the greatest tag teams. They should have the Freebird rule. Do they have the Freebird rule, the New Day rule? No, they should.
Well, they have it for the tag belts, but they don't have it for the singles.
Okay, I'm okay with it just being the tag belt thing. But that being said, that's the New Day. That's not Kofi, right? So if I was to just say, okay, he's part of a good faction, but if I'm doing Kofi versus, I don't even know who I'm facing him off against right now.
CM Punk.
CM Punk. If I'm doing Kofi versus CM Punk, I don't actually think they're comparable. I think CM Punk is one of those wrestlers where the WWE chants CM Punk so much, not just because they know that it bothers brass and that they want to piss off Vince McMahon, but also because they miss him. They genuinely miss him. He could have been, I don't want to say was, but he could have been the next Stone Cold, the anti-authority figure that everybody gets behind.
Well,
I'd
say that he was.
Okay.
He was. So if you think about when he won the WWE Championship, that whole thing was him walking out from the company, and then he very much turned into that anti-authority figure role where he ended up facing off against Triple H, who was the authority, and things like that. So, I mean, like...
For me, it's CM Punk.
Okay. Lamar, what's your pick on this one?
CM Punk.
Wow. No hesitation.
I don't think it's close.
Wow.
I love Kofi.
I think so. I think this is a really interesting matchup because these are actually two guys that at one point in time they held the tag titles together, and they've actually been very much intertwined as friends for so long in their career. When you look back at CM Punk winning his first World Heavyweight title, and he got jumped by Legacy to take him out of the championship scramble match, the elimination chamber match, whatever it was that put Jericho in, it was Kofi Kingston that came to his aid. These two guys are actually really good friends in real life, which makes this kind of interesting. Kofi, for me, is a guy who I think has been underutilized for so long.
That Jamaican thing was atrocious.
I'm not talking about that Jamaican.
Side note.
That was so
Side
bad.
note. So bad.
Triple A, where did your accent go? That was great. That was a great moment. Kofi's a guy who's been underutilized for so long, and I think like when we talk back to what the Intercontinental title should have been or was back in the day, Kofi kind of brought that back to where it was, it was the workhorse's title. Kofi's a guy that I think deserved a world title shot long before he got it, or a world title run but long before he got it, and that moment was great. I'm a white guy. It's very, very fucking apparent. But even I was emotionally like invested in that moment where it was just great to see. And it wasn't so much for the, yes, I want to see the black champion, but it was also like, just to kind of, I guess, grow through like a lot of my early adolescent years with Kofi Kingston being around. It was great to kind of see him develop there too. So, I mean, when it comes down to, you got to narrow it down to performances in the ring, I've never had a bad match for either of them. I've never seen any of them where I haven't been entertained, right? Like, I don't ever watch one of their matches and go, oh, I don't watch this anymore. I want to turn it off. So then it comes down to mic work. When it comes down to mic work, for me, CM Punk on the mic couldn't be touched during his time. And I think it really took Kofi finding the New Day to be able to kind of bring that promo skill out of him. So for that, I'm giving the edge to CM Punk.
One would argue that Xavier Woods is actually better on the mic than Kofi.
I agree.
So he's not even the best on the mic in his own faction.
Sure. So Punk gets a sweep on that one. Okay. Next up, we've got Dolph Ziggler versus Adam Cole. for me, no brainer. Dolph Ziggler, a guy who's been underutilized, underappreciated. At the same time, had a world title reign, didn't really do much with it. Adam Cole, a guy great on the mic. Great faction behind him. On the indie scene, he was, when Kevin Owens left, Adam Cole came right in. So for me, it's Adam Cole.
I'm surprised you actually put that much effort into.
I didn't have to, but I wanted to explain.
It's Adam Cole. There's a reason why he's so over. The best faction in wrestling today. Incredible in ring, incredible on the mic. What's this?
They're in my top 5. They're in my top 5.
Factions?
Yes.
Today?
Yep.
They're not number one?
Of all time.
Oh, of all time. Okay.
Yes, of all time.
He's going to be an incredible wrestler on the main roster, but I honestly don't even want him to go there. I'd love for him just to be the face of NXT forever, but it's not going to happen. They're going to have Adam Cole versus Owens versus Rollins versus Roman versus Styles, right? We're going to have to see all that. That's okay, but
I've already seen Adam Cole versus AJ Styles live, and that was amazing.
It's Adam Cole. Dolph Ziggler is a mid-carder. Adam Cole is a company's guy. He can be an ace. Yes.
All right, so Lamar, sweep or?
Yep.
Do you even know who Adam Cole is, Lamar?
Nope.
But you know who Dolph Ziggler is?
I know who Dolph Ziggler is, and
Vicky Guerrero's boyfriend.
I was gonna say, didn't he try to steal Nikki Bella away from John Cena?
Here's how bad
he was with her before him.
Here's how bad Dolph Ziggler is. Is a guy that doesn't know who Adam Cole is picks Adam Cole over Dolph Ziggler.
Because I know Dolph Ziggler's he's not great.
Dolph Ziggler wishes he was Kurt Hennig.
Fact. I mean, he's great. He's a great seller. He does sell like Kurt Hennig. I think he's great in the ring. I won't say there's anything like there's not something missing about him. I think the company just hasn't pushed him enough to really give him that opportunity to be a main eventer. But it's a clean sweep for Adam Cole. We all picked Adam Cole. All right, next up we've got The Miz versus Will Ospreay. I don't know if Lamar recognizes the name Will Ospreay, so I'm going to give him a quick little reminder here because I'm pretty sure I actually sent you the link for this. There was a match in Japan back in 2016. It was the Best of the Super Juniors, and it was Will Ospreay versus Ricochet.
Oh, I
This
remember.
match broke the internet.
I remember that. That match was stupid.
It was retarded.
All right, well, I'm gonna go Will.
I'm taking Will. Will is my number 2. My number 2 wrestler. Cody is number 3. Will is number 2 in the world today. I think he's one of the best performers in the world. And I'm happy that he's not WWE because I don't think they would know what to do with him or they would do the right thing with him. I think New Japan's doing a really good job of kind of using him to bring the lightweight division or the light heavyweight division back up to that next level, or the junior division back to the next level. And I think that he's going to be a good transcendent to the heavyweight division as well. So for me, it's Will Ospreay. So you got The Miz, who I think Josh thinks is a great heel, versus Will Ospreay.
So,
The Miz was so hyped coming out. Remember, he was supposed to be. What you don't remember all the promo he got before he showed up?
let me tell you about The Miz.
They put a lot behind The Miz.
Let me tell you about The Miz. So The Miz went from a reality star to a professional wrestler. He was on The Challenge. He created this character on The Challenge.
He was on The Real World. He was on The Real World.
Yes.
And he was already that character. He was already a professional wrestler by the time that he made it on The Real World. Don't forget that. He was on the indie scene then. Keep in mind, the indie scene literally consisted of Cleveland, Ohio, but he was there.
But he went from The Challenge to WWE.
Yep.
Won a bunch on The Challenge, by the way.
I don't think he ever made it on The Challenge. I think he was just on Real World.
He's just like a 3-time Challenge champion. What are you talking about? There's a
Is he
reason why
really?
he hosts The Challenge now.
No, he does not.
he's not the main host, but he hosts a lot of things for the challenge. Like he's a challenge vet. Like he's won the challenge multiple times. He's a challenge hero. Johnny Bananas based his character off of The Miz. Like that's his inspiration.
I don't know who Johnny Bananas is. I thought that was like a new name for John Morrison.
It's great. Johnny Bananas is lovely. You would love Johnny Bananas. He's a real life heel.
I forgot.
Oh, great.
John Morrison.
You'd love Johnny Bananas. Anyways, The Miz. I have a soft spot in my heart for The Miz.
Okay.
The Miz went from a nobody. He started off as an in-ring commentator or in-ring interviewer or whatever. What was his thing?
Something weird like that, yeah.
Stupid mohawk. But he started off as that. Wasn't a good in-ring wrestler. Was okay on the mic. He's evolved over time. He genuinely can put on really good matches now. He put in the work, and he can put on good matches. He is a legitimate world champion sometimes. When he's the world champion, it's like, yeah, of course he's the world champion. He is I know. He's very good on the mic. He's believable because he's a great heel, right? He would be a bad face world champion, but he's an incredible heel. He's not the best heel in the world today. Personally, I think it's KO. Mm-hmm. But he's up there. Ultimately, the reason Will gets the edge is because Will is probably the best technical wrestler in the world.
Okay.
Right? If we're talking the complete package as far as entertainment value outside of the ring and like on the mic and the ability to draw people in, and like let's be honest, WWE also does some things where philanthropy and raising money and funds and stuff like that, and he goes on talk shows and he's very good at promoting professional wrestling. Like that's what he does.
Yep.
Miz can't be touched in a lot of those fields, but ultimately Will wins because of wrestling.
All right. So Will Ospreay gets a clean sweep in that one. Yeah. All right. Next up. Oh, this one's going to be hard. I think I'm going to take the last one on this one because I actually need a minute to really think about this one. We got AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh my God. This is extremely difficult.
Yes.
This should be like the finals. This should be the finals.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Somehow Duke is facing North Carolina in the first round.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't remember how good AJ Styles is on the mic. I know Daniel Bryan's pretty good. He pissed me off with that hemp world championship though.
Which is great because that's what you want. Is you want to get you off.
When I seen that, I was livid. I was like, how dare, like, John Cena making the thing spin was one thing, but to do that to it, that's just disrespectful.
Bray Wyatt put his frickin' face on it, so.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah.
That was horrible. I just realized that there's a good possibility of what the last one's going to be, and I think I actually just made this even worse on myself. Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. This guy.
On pure wrestling, I'm going to have to go AJ. I'm going to let AJ take this one.
Damn, okay.
So this is the interesting is you said on pure wrestling. On pure wrestling, they're pretty freaking neck and neck.
Yeah.
Mat wrestling, like on the mat wrestling, submission game, telling a story in the ring, Daniel Bryan's actually better. But as far as high flying moves and pulling off very difficult moves that are
AJ ain't no joke.
That's AJ. Yeah. So depending on what category,
depending on what category
you respect more, would really determine who you think the better wrestler is.
Mm.
I'd give them an equal. I'd give them
Yeah.
an equal because I respect both categories equally. Right, so that's me for that. On the mic, Daniel Bryan's better on the mic.
I figured as much. Yeah.
AJ Styles, he needs writers to give him stuff. Otherwise, he's the bulldog nipping at your heels or whatever that thing was. Horrible. And that fell flat on a lot of people because they didn't understand that he's from Georgia and this is the Georgia Bulldogs because they don't watch sports. They only watch wrestling. Really bothered me. But yeah, AJ Styles, when he debuted at the Royal Rumble, I think I was with both of you. This was at my condo, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you there, Lamar? I did
Yeah.
a lap. I did laps around the condo when he debuted.
Yeah, you did.
I
Yeah,
went
you did.
off, even though I knew it was coming.
We all knew it was coming. It was
Dan
just,
had told me it was going to happen, and I was like, when it happens, I'm going to go nuts. I've only reacted like that for AJ Styles and Edge's return.
I told you about both of those.
Yeah, and so these are also two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. That being said, this is Ken Griffey Jr. Daniel Bryan wins.
So that's 1-1.
Yep.
There's one for AJ, one for Bryan. Oh man. So this is like when it comes to WWE for these two guys, I mean it's neck and neck.
I'm talking complete career, by the way.
Don't do that to me because that's what I got to do right now. I got to break it down to complete career. And I have seen both of these guys live. I have watched these guys face off against matches against some of the best wrestlers I consider in the world. I saw Daniel Bryan face Roderick Strong. I saw AJ Styles face Adam Cole. I've seen them face each other. And I look back to, the Ring of Honor days, the TNA days, PWG. This could not be a worse yet better matchup to have. It's the worst because it's the round of 64. It's the best because this is honestly the best matchup to have for these two. Oh, man. On the mic, they're both decent, I think, at best. I wouldn't consider them great. They both can be very good. I think it comes down to a factor that we haven't considered with anybody else in this yet, and it goes down to heart. For me, heart is, when you really get severely injured or, and then continue a match. Daniel Bryan had his eye popped out of its socket, his orbital bone shattered, his retina detached, and against a match against Morishima in New York, and went on to finish that match. Daniel Bryan has put his body on the line in so many different ways that ended up resulting in, unfortunately, his retire at one point. Thankfully, he was able to come back, but unfortunately, he did retire at one point. But then AJ Styles, in my mind, has one of the greatest matches I remember seeing outside of Omega Okada, and that was Styles, Daniels, and Joe. But for me, there was two other factors in that match, and it was Joe and Daniels. So I've got to give the edge to Bryan, and I'm taking Daniel Bryan to go on in this one. And that's a hard one for me to admit.
One thing I want to put out there is, because you talked about heart, you talked about coming back from injury, and I'll give it to you. Daniel Bryan definitely has exhibited that, but that's just because AJ Styles hasn't been injured in the same way.
True.
So it's like we're giving an advantage to somebody because he's reckless.
Not because he's reckless, but when his retina was detached, it wasn't his fault. Morishima caught him with a very stiff punch to the eye. I can't blame him for that. His matches against Roderick Strong, which I love Roderick Strong, his matches against CM Punk, his matches against Samoa Joe, Nigel McGuinness, there's a long list there. But same thing with AJ Styles, his saga with Joe, his saga with Daniels. His match in New Japan against Okada against Nakamura.
Oh yeah, the Nakamura match.
Not the WrestleMania one. We're going to talk about that one.
No, Wrestle
The Wrestle
Kingdom.
Kingdom one. That was
Oh
amazing.
my goodness.
But I got to give the edge to Bryan just from that. So that's why I said I had to bring it down to Hart, because those matches are just so fantastic. So the edge is going to Bryan. Bryan gets it 2-1.
Yep.
All right. Next up. Oh. Whew. Okay. So I was really worried about this one because there was two guys on the list I thought were going to match up with the 64 that I didn't want. I didn't know it was going to be AJ versus Daniel. I thought it was actually going to be this next one. But now we have this one. So what many people would actually consider the two best wrestlers in the world today.
Okada.
The Messiah, Seth Rollins, versus Kenny Omega.
Wow.
I'm going to start this one off because for me, this one, as much as I loved his career on the Indies, his career before he hit, the main event anywhere that he is now, there's a series of matches that allows me to top this one individual over the other, and that was Kenny Omega taking on Kazuchika Okada. For me, to put on, what Dave Meltzer considers a 6-star match is fine, whatever. Dave Meltzer, much like us, is just a fan. He's a fan that he writes about it and people take his word as gospel. To me, he's a fan. But then to go on and have great matches with, the likes of Michael Elgin, the likes of, Ibushi. He just competed in one of the best tag matches I've ever seen with Adam Page and the Young Bucks. I got to give it to Kenny Omega. Seth Rollins is fantastic. In ring, he is great. I just don't think he is the guy. His ratings for the title runs have obviously proved that. Seth Rollins is a great Intercontinental Champion. He is a great World Champion in the days of the SmackDown 6 when wrestling really mattered in that company. I think, unfortunately, because of that, he's been held back, and we haven't been able to see kind of what Seth Rollins really is lately. So I got to give it to Kenny Omega.
Lamar, do you know who Kenny Omega is?
No.
Okay.
I have
I'll go
100%
next.
sent you the Wrestle Kingdom match against Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. I know I have.
He is
You
one of
probably
the best
have.
finishers ever.
You probably have, but like,
Google Kenny Omega really quick, and then Josh, you can make your pick.
Okay. So this is difficult because if you're just comparing their careers, it's hard because this really is a WWE conversation, and you've included people outside of WWE because 2010 onwards doesn't have iconic WWE wrestlers like the 90s and 80s and 2000s did, which is fair. If Seth was against most other WWE wrestlers, he'd probably win this matchup. Seth Rollins is the best member of the Shield. He's the best on the mic, and he's the best in-ring worker of the three. He is the most adaptable. He's capable of being a heel and a face, and he does both of them at an expert level. If Seth Rollins had the fortune of facing better competition like Kenny Omega did, I would say Seth Rollins would have similar matches and similar legacy. But he doesn't. Kenny faced better wrestlers and was ultimately in better companies at the time. I can hear myself, Dan. He was in better companies at the time. He faced better competition for most of his career up until this point. It's also WWE's biggest downfall. This is really what the conversation is WWE versus anything else, because WWE's biggest downfall is people stay in WWE for a very long time and they try to rotate them and find out who the fans are going to like at this point instead of instead of establishing greatness and building, and like they don't want long time champions unless it's Brock Lesnar. They're not built the same way. So ultimately, Seth Rollins is limited by the company he works for. Now, the company he works for is considered the best company in the world, right? Most people would say that. It's definitely the most recognizable. It's the NFL. It's the UFC, right? So because of that, Seth's title runs and Seth's accomplishments to an average everyday wrestling fan would be considered better because everything Omega does is in the indies or in the lesser promotions. But to Dan's point, Omega has faced guys who you'd consider the best wrestlers in the world, and he's put on the best matches in the past at least 5 to 6 years. He even was part of one of the coolest tag teams in New Japan history with it was Ibushi
Yeah,
or
the Golden Lovers.
yeah. So he's an all around thing, and he's part of Bullet Club, and he was part of the Elite, and that's the most comparable thing to the Shield.
Well, remember, he birthed the Elite, too. It was him and the Bucks that birthed the Elite, really. I think that Kenny Omega brought the Bullet Club to new heights when AJ left. So
yeah. So because like the Shield in modern WWE, the Shield is the evolution of this time, right? This is the ultimate faction, and all three of them went on to become what do they call them? Grand Slam champions.
Yep.
Yeah. They all won everything, right? So it was these are the three futures of the company. But Kenny Omega takes the edge.
Okay. Lamar? Sweet for Omega?
I'm
No.
going to trust you on this one.
No, Lamar, fight for Seth.
Like, I know Seth. I like Seth. But you guys are the real wrestling heads. New school wrestling heads. Like, I was an old school wrestling head, but like...
There was a point. Sorry. There was a point where I honestly thought that Seth Rollins was the best wrestler in the world. There was a point in his career. I couldn't tell you exactly when it was, but I watched a match, and it was probably him running out at Mania and his with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I was like, this guy is about to take over the wrestling world, and he didn't because WWE doesn't know how to book.
All right. So I'm going to give us a clean sweep to Omega here. We got 2 left. All right. Wow. All right. So next up, what many are considering the hottest wrestling act today in Jon Moxley versus what a lot of people have considered should have been the hottest act today in Finn Balor. So this one actually for me is actually pretty easy. It comes down to wrestling for me at the end of the day, entertainment. Moxley was on the indies, very much a deathmatch guy, a lot of blood and guts. Once his run with the Shield ended, it never really was the same for him, in my opinion. I think he really needed the Shield there, and at the end of the day, he wasn't even the hottest part of the Shield. I think Roman was definitely more impressive in the Shield, and Seth Rollins being who Seth Rollins is, that put John at number 3. Finn Balor coming in, I remember the hype behind Finn Balor walking into NXT. And the good thing is he walked into NXT and he was able to live up to that hype there. Much like Kevin Owens did, much like Adam Cole has done, Finn Balor has been able to live up to that hype very well. But then you look at moving to the main roster. Finn Balor had 2 matches before he won the Universal title. Unfortunately, Finn got injured at the hands of Seth Rollins. Upon his return, it was never the same for Finn Balor. But I think bringing him back to NXT has really kind of rejuvenated Finn Balor for me. He's brought him back to life. He's definitely looking like he is the main event character again, which is great to see. I'm getting to see these matchups that I really wanted to see that I never got to see in the independents, because at this time, him on the independents wasn't the same time as guys like Adam Cole was, or Tommaso Ciampa, or Johnny Gargano wasn't to the level that he was. On the flip side, Jon Moxley has also reinvented his career with AEW. Currently the AEW champion. Like I said, many consider him the hottest thing in wrestling today. So when it comes down to matches and my emotional investment and getting invested in matches, I have to look past the who do I want to see win versus who do I think is going to win. And with a Finn Balor match, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if Finn's going to win the title here. I don't know if Finn is going to, beat Gargano. I don't know what's going to happen. And that has a lot to do with his storytelling with the match. So for me, it's Finn Balor.
So, by the way, just in case you didn't realize, Jon Moxley is Dean Ambrose, Lamar.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I'm like, I'm going to go Finn Balor because I don't know who this Jon Moxley guy is.
My bad.
It's all good.
I mean, he did say
All
the
right.
Shield. He did allude to the Shield, but I was like,
I said Roman and Seth. You should know a piece
I was
together.
like, this guy doesn't know who he's talking about.
I thought so, but I was like, Jon Moxley. I was
So
like, they added someone to the Shield?
I've always liked John Dean, but in my opinion, he was never a true main eventer in WWE. He was the third guy in the faction. He was the crazy guy, right? You had the muscle, you had the leader in Seth, and the muscle in Roman.
You had
And then-
the technical piece in Seth, in my opinion. I think Roman was, or I think Dean was more the leader, but I think that technical aspect was definitely Seth. And then
At first, Dean was definitely the leader.
yeah,
He was the guy who got the singles title.
Yep.
That he never had to defend.
yep, yep.
And it was the tag team was actually Seth and Roman.
Yep.
And then lo and behold, now Seth and Roman are the main eventers on separate shows intentionally. Right?
Well, maybe all three of them are main eventers right now.
Right. So, and yeah, John, I'd actually, what I used to do when I played the game, when I played 2K, is I would have a SmackDown, Raw, and an ECW. Guess who my champions were?
Seth, Roman, and Dean.
Seth was Raw, Roman was SmackDown, and Dean was ECW.
Yep.
Because that's where they belong. That's really where they belong. Which is funny because Seth Rollins is a wrestler, and Roman's not a true wrestler. So realistically, Roman should be on Raw. But I always saw Roman as a SmackDown guy, and that's probably The Rock's fault.
There.
Or Goldberg's. So for me, it's Finn. Finn is a better technical wrestler. Finn's Demon King character is amazing. The fact that he only does it for big matches too, I love it. I like that it's not an everyday thing. That would bother me. It would take away from the allure. I like that in the past he's had to be that character in order to win because he needed that edge to tap into his crazy side. Funny thing, I brought it up earlier, kind of similar to Jeff Hardy with Willow. That was his crazy side, right? Ultimately, Jon Moxley is a really good character that I think will fade away. As much as I love him, great. I believe Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley is an excellent person, and he believes in this industry, and he loves this industry, and all for him. Go for you. I hope he doesn't fade away. I hope he always finds ways to reinvent himself. But like you said before, he's ultimately just a deathmatch guy, a ECW guy, a no holds bar. If you were to have a one-on-one match with Moxley versus Cole, and it was just a Iron Man match, I'm not as interested. Because Cole, in my opinion, Cole should wipe the floor with him.
Yep.
Same thing with AJ Styles. Same thing with Will Ospreay. Like they all would out wrestle him. It has to be no holds bar, no rules, a street fight. It has to be that for Moxley to realistically win a match. In my opinion, watching him. So Finn Balor is a better storyteller. Finn Balor created the Bullet Club. Finn Balor is on the rise again in NXT. I think he'll be the NXT champion again when Cole moves on. I think he might be the guy to take Cole's title, and then Cole will go on to the main roster. And then we'll see. We'll see what comes of him. But to me, Finn has a brighter future. Also, we're talking about the 2010 decade. Moxley is a 2020 character, in my opinion.
Very much so. I'd say 2019, 2020. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so Lamar, what's your pick?
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose?
Nah. I'm going to go Finn. Although his Demon King entrance, you might hate me for this, semi reminds me of the Boogeyman.
It does. It does. But
See that face Dan's giving me? That's the face I expected from you too.
it does. But the Boogeyman was an everyday thing.
Yeah.
This means more because he does it when it's I need to win.
Yeah.
So it means more than the Boogeyman. It means more.
Yes. Yeah. Just based off what I've seen, I'd say Finn Balor's the better wrestler. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So clean sweep for Finn Balor. All right, so this is it. This is the last of the round of 64. I already know who the two are.
Good, because I need to go to bed soon. So we
Yeah,
got to fly through the next rounds.
I'm a full hour past my bedtime, but it's fine.
We'll fly through the last ones.
Same.
This one here, it's what many would consider, I guess, two of the flag bearers for the companies nowadays. The flag bearer for WWE, the big dog, Roman Reigns, and the flag bearer, the new ace of New Japan, in Kazuchika Okada.
This is Okada.
I don't my input in it is irrelevant.
So you're going to say Okada.
I'm going to say Okada. We already know I'm going to say Okada.
Because he's your number one.
He's my number one. We've been through it. Cody's my number 3. Will's my number 2. Okada's my number 1. This is a guy that every time he defends a title or goes into a match, I find myself with that moment of suspense and going, he might lose the belt here. What could happen? He could lose this match. I don't get that same reaction with Roman. I knew Roman was going to beat Brock. I know Roman's going to beat Goldberg. I know Roman was going to beat Brock again. You can tell when Roman's going to win a belt. You knew he was going to beat Taker. Okada does a good job of, even in matches where he's against guys that I look at and I go, this guy's never going to be world champion. Okada can then make me believe that he might lose the belt here. Guys like Tanahashi, Omega several times, Ibushi, Naito, Corona, sorry.
Wow.
He fought Corona and won?
There you go. I support him. He's my pick
Zack
too.
Sabre Jr., Bad
This
Luck
guy
Fale.
pinned Corona.
So yeah, so for me, it's Okada hands down.
I'm not very familiar with Okada. Are you okay, Dan?
Yeah, I'm good. Throat dry.
That's fine. I know about Roman Reigns. The way they force him on everybody. They need to give that type of help to other people on the roster, but I'm just gonna, based off what I've seen off Roman Reigns and how I know New Japan is, or wherever he is, I'm gonna have to go the other guy.
How I know wherever he is.
So wait, are you going Okada or Roman there? Because I'm not too sure what you meant.
Okada.
Okay, Okada. So that's 2 for Okada. We're good.
How I...
Ooh.
That's good.
All right, Josh, clean sweep for Okada?
So Roman Reigns is the guy. Roman Reigns in the 90s or early 2000s would have been a crowd favorite. But it's not those times anymore. Roman Reigns is too pushed, and he does not a good enough wrestler. I will say Roman Reigns is a little bit better on the mic than we give him credit for. It's just the crowd doesn't like him, so they don't react the way they really should.
The only
Right?
time they like him is when he's with the Shield, right?
The only time they liked him is when he recovered from cancer.
And with the Shield.
Yeah. When he came back from leukemia, that was his biggest pop ever.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of
It was,
hard.
it was a real moment. That's why.
Yeah. So they almost should have turned him heel right then and there.
That would.
Yeah, they did that with Dean. It didn't go over too well.
Right? And I did this without any of your help. You know what I mean?
I want to thank absolutely fucking new one.
Oh, gosh.
But Okada's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. You cannot give that to Roman Reigns, so it's Okada.
All right, so that completes the round of 64. So we can bang out this this round of 62 super quick since we already kind of know our opinions and everybody.
Yep.
So first up, we got Ricky Steamboat, Rick Rude. Lamar, you started off.
Steamboat.
Steamboat. All right, Josh.
It's entertainment versus wrestling.
Both are great.
Just because Scott Hall's not on the list, I'm giving it to Rick Rude.
Okay. All right.
You know who I am.
Yeah, where's my bad guy?
For wrestling and entertainment purposes, I'm giving it to Rick Rude.
Okay.
All right. Hot Rod, Roddy Piper versus the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, great heel versus great good guy. Great face.
For me, I'm taking Dusty. I'm taking the American Dream. I mean, promos on both sides great. Wrestling on both sides are great. Evoking emotion more from Dusty than it is from Roddy.
For me, it's the other way. When I think back, I'm thinking more Roddy than I think Dusty.
Okay.
I had you picking Dusty all day.
So
All
deciding
day.
factor, Josh. Who you got?
Well, you chose Roddy over Hulk Hogan.
You're damn right I did.
And we'll do it again.
Damn.
Every day.
This is hard. Roddy Piper.
Ooh.
Piper's
All
Pit.
right. Payback's a bitch, I guess.
No, Piper's Pit. That's why. He
All
changed
right.
wrestling.
We got Andre the Giant versus the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Flair all day. Sorry, Andre. The Macho Man versus the $1 Million Man,
Macho.
Macho.
the Macho King.
Why are the first rounds so much harder? Ugh.
All right. We've got the battles of the sharpshooters. We've got Bret Hart versus Sting. I'm taking Bret.
Wow. This is good.
Something's got a lot harder, eh?
Sting and Flair, man. That's all I go back to.
Bret Austin, Bret Shawn.
Brett Shawn, Sting, Flair. Like those are my comparisons right now in my head. But was it Sting or was it Flair? I'd say it was Flair. Therefore, Brett.
Bret gets all right. Lamar.
I'm torn, man. Those are two. I'm gonna go based off me personally. I was always more of a Sting fan than I was a Bret Hart fan, so I'm gonna say
All right.
Sting.
Fair.
Oh, Bret goes on 2-1. Doesn't get the sweep. Ooh, the Battle of Texas. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Ooh,
Oh,
this is very hard.
I put in my final four. I'm going to stick with it. I'm staying Stone Cold.
Oh my goodness.
HBK.
Invoking emotion.
I'm just a sexy boy.
That is not evoking emotions, Lamar.
Sorry, I have that song on my phone
I
right
know
now.
it's your sack dance. It's your sack dance.
You know what I mean? Like, I gotta go with my dog HBK.
So HBK was part of DX, one of my favorite factions ever. HBK, for most of his career, was a tag team wrestler.
For most of his career?
Well, maybe half of his career.
Not even a hot minute of his career.
Him and Kevin Nash.
Him and Marty Jannetty?
Him and Marty
Dude.
Jannetty.
I would say Stone Cold was, the Hollywood Blonde. Like,
Yeah. Michael spent a lot of time in tag team wrestling.
Michael spent a lot of time as world champion.
That's true. Main eventing WrestleMania against Undertaker.
Mr. WrestleMania.
Making us think that he was going to be the guy to beat the streak.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I really
genuinely thought it was going to happen with him.
So did I.
But Stone Cold, probably one of the greatest. Go ahead.
To me, Sean, it should have been Sean over Brock. It was Brock, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It should have been Sean over Brock, but that's neither here nor there.
Agreed. Or never. Or you can never beat the streak.
I'd prefer never.
What's it called? This is hard. Stone Cold's probably the greatest character ever.
I love how you just finished saying it was so easy, too, for this round. And then all of a sudden it was like Sting and Bray. You're like, shit. And this happens, you're like, uh-oh.
God, this is rough, bro.
This person might win this era. Whoever's decided right here.
Yep.
Debatable based off what you said earlier.
Mr. WrestleMania. Well, you know what I'm... Mr. WrestleMania versus the best character ever. Moments versus a career. This is so hard. Super kick. He inspired all these super kick guys. There's so many freaking super kick guys.
Okay, hold on. He didn't inspire it because the guy is like Brian Adams that started the super kicks.
Right, but who inspired them?
You know what I mean? Like, he's tuning up the band, bro.
Yeah, he tuned up the band. Stunner versus the Sweet Chin Music. Oh. Why is this happening now? Shawn Michaels.
You're taking Shawn, Lamar?
Oh, HBK.
He already said it.
Damn, you knocked out my final four. All right.
That's hard.
It's only because HBK is a potential Mount Rushmore for me.
Okay. The Rock versus The Undertaker.
I said The Rock versus anybody, and now I feel dumb. I'm still going to say The Rock. I'm saying The Rock.
Yep. I'm going to take the entire career into aspect here, and I'm going to say The Undertaker from start to what is still going on. The Rock might be the bigger star, but when it comes to wrestler, it's The Undertaker for me.
This hurts. Either way, this hurts. You got the Undertaker who really felt he could have made it in the UFC, boxing. You know what I mean? Like he gets, you know what I mean? He gets a forearm in boxing, hits mans with the old school. To be able to balance on the ropes at his size, but the sheer entertainment factor of The Rock. Oh my God.
First of all, both of these guys are on my Mount Rushmore.
You know what I mean?
It's like Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Undertaker, and Ric Flair.
Okay.
Like that's my Mount Rushmore. So to me, this is very difficult, but I had to go with the guy who I think is the complete package, And that's The Rock. Undertaker's a character more than anything.
But The Rock, I hated The Rock at points, eh? I hated him. But then, like that, he could make me love him again, and I'm just like, oh my! But the Undertaker, he's so iconic. Like the crowd, like everywhere's just black, and then all of a sudden he's in the ring.
It's your hot ex-girlfriend or your childhood sweetheart.
Like
It's a good comparison.
it
Great
is like
comparison.
You hate her sometimes, but then she comes back and you love her again. But then there's the one that's always been there.
yeah, like I said, every time I hear that bell, I'm just like, Undertaker.
Man, make your decision.
I'm sorry. The Rock.
Ooh. Rock edges it out 2-1. All right.
Guy,
up, we
you
got-
don't know how much that one hurt me.
Wow, that should
We
have been
got
the
Diamond
finals.
Dallas Page versus Yokozuna. I'm picking DDP.
He was one hitting man with the guitar, right? No.
The fuck did you just say?
What
Jeff
was
Jarrett?
his name? Huh?
Jeff Jarrett?
Thank you.
Slap nuts. How dare you?
I can't.
Boom!
Bang. It's bang. It's not boom. It's bang.
Bang.
Yokozuna was a truth. but-
Yokozuna's also part of that Samoan family.
Yes, he is.
And Wahis.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it might have to be DDP for me. I remember him more. He stirs up more emotions for me.
DDP and Karl Malone versus Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman. Is it the
DDP is a more complete sports entertainer.
All right, so we got DDP for the sweep. All right, we're into the 2000s now. We have the Battle of Canada. Edge versus Chris Benoit.
Edge.
I feel like you guys will let Benoit go as far enough as you'll let him go. I'm still taking him. But I guess Edge is the win 2-1 here.
Nah, Edge is my
Sports
guy,
entertainer. Sports entertainer.
Okay.
He disrespected Kane one time. This man said, "I'm a sure the real one-eyed monster." I was like,
All right. So I guess from cruiserweights to heavyweight champions, it's Eddie Guerrero versus Chris Jericho. I don't
Chris
like
Jericho.
This one. You picked very easily there. Okay. Lamar.
I love Eddie, but it's Chris Jericho for me.
what stirs up the most emotion and like yo, I'm gonna have to go Eddie still.
Yeah, the yo
Why'd you
have
choose
it.
me? I couldn't.
You know,
have said-
but like I think about Jericho and there's some sick moments, but like I think about Eddie, I'm like, yo, Eddie. Sorry.
Man,
That's the best way I can describe it.
Jericho riffing off the top of his head talking about Stephanie McMahon's breast job.
There's something very different from last year to this year.
This is
Sorry,
hard.
Dan.
No, this is hard. I hate you both for this. Oh man,
If Eddie's career wasn't cut short,
I don't want to say that though. I don't want to say that. This can't be a matter of what could have been versus what is.
But you did that with Owens.
I know I did.
Owen.
I gotta pick Chris. Pick Chris.
I had a feeling.
Jericho moves on. Oh,
Next.
all right. Battle of the High Flyers. We've got Jeff Hardy versus Rey Mysterio.
Jeff Hardy.
I'm picking Jeff Hardy.
This
I
guy's so
have
upset.
done a lot of swanton bombs in my life.
Bro, I did one off the diving board one time into the pool and right on my back. It was the worst decision I made in my life.
Man, off the railings at my place on Chipperfield onto the trampoline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you hit a trampoline. I landed in a pool of water. Backsplash. Bruh, don't
I
do that.
landed on Lamar.
You landed on a bar?
On Lamar.
Oh. All right. So, is it a sweep then, Lamar?
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Hardy goes on. All right. Next up. Ooh. We got John Cena versus the guy that made John Cena in JBL.
Yep.
It's John Cena.
John Cena.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Sweep for
I
Cena
love
there.
JBL. Respect to JBL's career.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we are into
Bradshaw.
final group. The 2010s here. Up first, Kevin Owens versus CM Punk. The battle of the promos, the battle of the underrated, or the
Underutilized.
no, I wouldn't say underutilized. I'm going to say like undersized or just not Vince McMahon sized, really.
So, I said Chris Jericho is the greatest Canadian wrestler of all time. Kevin Owens is up there.
Greatest Quebec-based wrestler of all time.
He's definitely the best French Canadian wrestler of all time.
Okay.
He's also one of my all-time favorite heels. CM Punk. See, this is why I didn't want to get rid of Stone Cold, but I had to, but I didn't want to, because Stone Cold's the reason CM Punk existed. He's the reason he created the lane that CM Punk filled, and so did
And
Dean
Kevin Owens.
And Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good, I agree. But Kevin Owens also, Kevin Owens is like a hybrid of Stone Cold and Chris Jericho. I give it to Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Same. I'm gonna have to go Kevin Owens still.
It's also I'm not considering ROH. I'm just comparing their WWE careers.
So that's where I was trying to, because I was thinking, I was like, who had the WWE career so far, and looking at it, it's been Punk, really, right? 2 world championships, great
ECW?
heel work.
ECW champion?
No,
When
no,
they brought
yes,
ECW back?
no, he beat Morrison. He beat Morrison. He lost to Morrison, and then he beat Morrison.
Yeah.
I was gonna give it to Punk, but Owens it is. Ooh. Adam Cole versus Will Ospreay.
Adam Cole.
Will Ospreay.
Because I've only seen Will Ospreay, I'm gonna go Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay cannot promo like Adam Cole.
I'll beg to differ.
And he's not as over as Adam Cole.
Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega. As if the round of 64 wasn't hard enough, this just got a little more difficult for me.
Kenny Omega for me.
Yeah, Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I'm going to say Kenny. Sweet for Kenny.
Daniel Bryan could be your next door neighbor.
Oh, man. Finn Balor, Kazuchika Okada.
Oh my
I'm taking Okada.
goodness. I love Finn Balor.
And I've seen this match. This match has happened.
I have not, so I'm going to go Finn Balor.
Why'd you do that to me?
It all comes down to you.
The Ace of Aces versus Finn Balor. This is the problem. Is I don't speak Japanese.
Which is why I find him the best, because I don't speak Japanese, yet I can emotionally invest myself into his matches.
So for me, Okada is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but I don't actually know how good his promo work is. Like I don't know how well he builds a match or if it's the people he's facing that build the match.
I'm sure around guys. I'm sure in Japanese called like Japanese, he's probably great. He's probably a great promo in Japan. Does it transcend very well to English? No, it actually does not at all. It's just a lot of stuff like I'm gonna be the best and things like that. You're just like, but it's like I guess delivery in Japan's different. So
Yeah. I don't know. For me, sports entertainment. If it really was, because you know how these guys say, are you a sports entertainer or are you a professional wrestler? Let's put it bluntly to all of them. You're not professional wrestlers because what you do is scripted or at least improv. You're not a professional wrestler. If you were to get in the ring with many wrestlers, you get your asses handed to you. Not all of them. A lot of them were good wrestlers in college and stuff like that. But the guys who say stuff like that, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for instance, who always says that on his podcast, he asks them, are you a professional wrestler or a sports entertainer? You Stone Cold, are a sports entertainer. That is your entire career is being entertaining. How much wrestling did you do? What? Okay. So just sports entertainment, it's Finn Balor for me.
Okay. Okada's out.
Okada's a better wrestler.
I'm okay with that because that would have made the next round very difficult for me to.
Because now you're just going to go Omega.
Well, that would have given me Okada Omega, and I'd like. That's a challenging one. All right. So we're on to the round of 16. We've got up first. A good heel battle here. We got Rick Rude and Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper for me.
I'm taking Roddy Piper.
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep for Piper. All right. Ric Flair versus Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ric Flair for me.
It hurts. I love Macho, but it's a Ric Flair thing.
Okay. I would have taken Macho Man, I think.
Oh.
I love them both. That's why it's so challenging. Okay. This was definitely one of the biggest battles of the 90s. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels.
No way we got this matchup.
We got this match.
No way we got this matchup. It's HBK.
It's a sweep for HBK. It is
Even
a clean
though
sweep
he screwed Bret, but such is life.
I don't even know what to call this battle, except for, maybe the most obvious one. The Rock versus DDP.
The Rock.
The Rock. Lamar, do you want to pick DDP, or can we sweep this one?
Yeah, we can sweep this one.
All right.
Definitely the easiest one thus far.
All right. Now it's going to be a little more challenging. We've got Edge versus Jericho, another Battle of Canada here.
I'm going to go Edge.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jericho.
I knew you were going to do that. Okay. This is Ken Griffey Jr. all over again. Edge is one of my favorite all-time wrestlers. That being said, Jericho is a far better sports entertainer. It's Chris Jericho.
All right. Jericho is on. The Battle of the Jays. We got Jeff Hardy versus John Cena.
John Cena.
Jeff Hardy.
It's your guy.
Entertainment value, right?
Mm.
Okay.
John Cena's Dr. Thugonomics entertained the hell out of me.
All right.
As a wigger myself.
If you knew Josh back in those days, bro.
Was it that bad?
Guy, I knew every line to his freestyles.
Stop.
I used to watch 106 in Park on the daily. Like,
Josh and them used to freestyle on a regular basis.
The next KOTD champion over here, eh?
we actually have friends that are in KOTD.
Oh, really?
High Risk. Shout out to High Risk.
Iris.
Sharon, what up, though?
Wasn't that a Montreal boy?
Sharon?
Yeah.
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 Sharon's fire.
He's on Wild Note now, too.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Into the 2010s. Kevin Owens, Will Ospreay.
I already know your choice, so say it.
Will.
Okay. Lamar's going to say Kevin Owens. Pretty sure.
No, he's not. Because there's that match against Ricochet.
Exactly.
One match. Go watch Kevin Owens.
This is exactly, though.
Go face. What was Sami Zayn's name when he wore the freaking mask?
El Generico.
Watch El Generico versus Kevin Steen. I believe it was a TLC match.
That's the same. Watch Will Ospreay versus Kota Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom 2 years ago.
No.
Or last year.
I'm saying compared, like, man, Kevin Owens. Oh my God, Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor, like, is probably the best NXT Championship match.
Creativity level, they're both fantastic. Like, this is actually kind of like difficult one to really.
For me, it's Kevin Owens because I don't find Will Ospreay a good promo guy. He's just a very good wrestler. That is it. He's Ricochet but white, like, and from England. Like, what? What?
I'm torn because I've seen more of Kevin Owens, but what I saw at that one match was
That's
outrageous.
one match, and that's just wrestling. All you saw was just in-ring work. That's all you saw.
But it was
That's half the
amazing
business.
in-ring work.
Really, but where's Ricochet on this list? Why isn't he on that list? He was half of that match. Why isn't he on this list?
Dan didn't put him there.
No, because Will Ospreay is lucky enough to not be in the WWE. Because if he was in the WWE, he'd be a mid-carder.
Bold statement.
You're right.
I love Will
Kevin
Ospreay.
Owens. KO.
That's my top 3 all eliminated at this point. All right. Kenny Omega, Finn Balor.
This is harder for me.
Omega.
This is one of the harder decisions.
No hesitation. Omega. It's
How
Omega.
many Omega matches have you watched, Lamar?
Clearly, all you need is one. And that is Kenny versus Okada. And I'm taking Kenny.
Yeah, but that was an incredible match.
No, I mean for Lamar. Like, Lamar just needs one match.
Yeah, that was an incredible match. But for me, Finn Balor created Bullet Club. And if Kenny Omega was never the cleaner, he only became the cleaner because of Bullet Club. I don't even know what his career would have been. Would he have been a longtime tag team wrestler with the Golden Lovers? I don't know. This is difficult. Just in ring capabilities, they're both two of the greatest wrestlers in the world.
Without Stone Cold, would you have had a Kevin Owens?
Like I said, he's half Stone Cold. He's half Chris Jericho. You give me another Chris Jericho that's French Canadian, I'm still cool. I'm chilling.
Sami Zayn.
That's basically Sami Zayn, yeah. 1,000%.
So is it a sweep or are you going Finn?
Well, you chosen Kenny.
We both chose Kenny.
Oh, then I'm gonna choose Finn just so it's not a sweep.
All right. So we're in the finals of each decade now. So we got.
I'll stand up for you, Finn.
I 100% picked the wrong one there. 1 second. All right, there we go. We got Roddy Piper and Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. Clean sweep there.
This first bracket's gonna be hard
Yeah.
because we're about to have Rock and Shawn Michaels, I think.
And it's there, Rock and Shawn Michaels.
The Rock.
HBK.
This guy's going to choose HBK.
Is he? We don't know.
Sports entertainment.
I was very entertained by both of them.
Yeah, agreed. That's why they're both on my Mount Rushmore. So is Ric Flair. So whoever wins this still has to face Ric Flair, which pisses me off.
That would be the finals. Remember, it's the first. It's Group A versus Group D, and Group B versus Group C.
HBK.
Edges it out. All right. Next up, we've got
Chris Jericho.
and John Cena.
Cena.
I'm taking Jericho.
So Cena is one of the greatest WWE guys of all time. But as a sports entertainer, Jericho is better. Jericho.
Yeah, there we go.
I love Cena, but come on.
All right.
I'm just saying. Like, for sheer dominance over that decade, like, Cena was...
That's
on
WWE
top.
booking, though. That's WWE booking. They chose to make him on top. They could have chosen
enough.
anyone they wanted to.
Fair enough.
Last up for the round of 8. It's KO versus KO. The Battle of the Canucks again. Kevin Owens versus Kenny Omega.
Because Canadians are amazing at professional wrestling.
I think it's factual when you really look at what's going on right now. The really amount of Canadians are moving on each round. So
This has been a thing for a long time.
best in the world.
We are perfect tens, okay?
Best in the world at what we do.
Best
Best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Need I continue? The best
I'm gonna
bout
go-
machines.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
I'm going to go Owens on this one.
I'm going to go
spice
Omega.
things up. I
gonna
know.
go
I
Omega.
figured. I knew you would.
Mic work, in ring, creativity, entertainment. He can be entertaining in many different ways. It doesn't have to just be like strict like mat-based wrestling. It can be comedy wrestling. He's all around. And I love KO too. So
I know you do.
So, I'm going to throw this out there. This is going to be interesting. This is personal preference. That's the problem. This is going to be a personal preference choice.
you son of a bitch.
I think they're both incredible wrestlers. I think they're both good at tag team wrestling as well, which is, I think it's a factor. It's half of the industry. There's a whole tag team division in most companies. Kevin Owens, to me, invokes more response. Like, I either laugh or I get involved or I genuinely care about what he has to say. His mic work is all-time level. Omega's very good, but I would never call him an all-time mic guy. He is an all-time in-ring wrestler, though. Ooh, this is difficult. Kevin Owens just uses other people's finishing moves. Does Omega actually own the rights to his move, or is that Michael Elgin's move, or what's his name's move? Who else does the exact same move?
Killian Dane?
Killian Dane.
Are you serious?
Is it Killian Dane's move or Kenny
No.
Omega's move?
Kenny Omega did it first. Nobody owns the rights to anything, but at the end of the day, Kenny Omega did it first.
Well, who made it? You know what I mean? Like, who made it famous?
Omega.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny has had better matches, but that's because he's faced better competition. It's not like is that an indictment to Kevin Owens? Right? Give him better competition. This is very hard for me. And I just realized how much I like Kevin Owens. Because I really like Kevin Owens. But I didn't know I liked him this much. This guy got rid of Finn Balor. No, actually, it's your fault. But Wow. The better wrestler is Kenny Omega. The better sports entertainer is Kevin Owens. Which one matters more in this conversation? What's the title of this? Best wrestlers?
Yep.
Best wrestlers.
Hey, you just got a what's his face for not being a sports entertainer. So,
Who?
Cena.
Cena's nowhere near as entertaining as Omega.
That's what you said for him against Jericho. You
But,
said
This is not
you said
comparable.
I don't know. You just said Jericho's the better sports entertainer.
Right.
Which,
But he's by far better. He's by far better. Kevin Owens is not by far better than Kenny Omega. He's just way better in the mic. But in ring. Because John Cena is not as good a wrestler as Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is clearly the better wrestler.
Oh,
so he beats him on the mic and wrestling. Both Canadian.
Both KOs.
Both KOs. If that matters.
Not really, but
both could be the guy in a company. Both could lead a company.
Both from either side of Ontario.
Mm-hmm. If they face each other in a match, who would I want to win?
See, that's not even fair because I don't even care who wins. I just want to watch that match.
It's a great match. Kenny Omega.
Omega gets the edge 2-1.
And I wanted KO. Personal would have been KO. But Omega would be a main event guy in WWE.
Yes. Well, they're trying to sign him for main event money too, right?
Kevin Owens deserves it. Kenny Omega would be. And he'd be the world champion.
One second here, just got to set it up for the next round.
Bro, I'm a hate you two tomorrow morning session.
Well, it's not that late.
It's very late.
It's pretty late.
Yeah.
Well, if Josh would just say Kenny Omega faster, we could probably be done by now.
That's very true.
All right. So, with that being said, like I said, it was A and D versus B and C. So, we've got Ric Flair versus Kenny Omega.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
I hate you both, but it's Ric Flair. So this one's actually really challenging. WrestleMania 19, this is a match. Probably one of the greatest rivalries of the 2010s, actually. Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho.
HBK. No hesitation.
Y2J. No hesitation.
You know what's messed up? Shawn Michaels is on my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
You're picking Jericho?
Yes, he is.
Over HBK, bro?
I'm picking Jericho.
That's crazy to me.
All right, so bronze medal match.
It's crazy to me too, by the way.
We've got Kenny Omega versus Shawn Michaels.
How do we have Kenny Omega? We eliminated Kenny Omega.
Bronze.
Oh, bronze.
You already know where I'm going. I already know where Dan's going, so it's where's Josh going?
Can we tell him? You don't know where Dan's going.
Yeah.
Can we take these two guys in their prime and put them in a match, please? Please.
Well, Kenny's in his prime.
I want them in a match today.
So you got to think about like Kenny versus Okada versus Shawn and Brett.
Oh my God.
Who had the better performance? That's what it comes down to, really.
Shawn Michaels.
That comes down to who their competition was, though.
Okay.
Okada's a better wrestler than Bret Hart.
So then let's take Shawn versus Stone Cold, and Kenny versus, well, I guess we can't say Jericho because he's in the final two. So
Moxley.
no.
It is Stone Cold.
Kenny versus Cody.
Oh my god.
I'm sticking with Shawn Michaels.
Who are you saying, Dan?
Y'all already done teasing.
I like seeing you sweat, so I'm gonna pick Kenny.
I knew Dan was going Kenny.
Shawn Michaels.
Okay, so Shawn gets third place. Our
Should be
gold
first,
medal.
second, but whatever.
First and
You already
second,
know it's Ric Flair.
Ric Flair versus Chris Jericho. These are two guys that honestly have evolved throughout the years of their career. Like, this is actually, I don't think there could be a better matchup in the finals than these two, truthfully. When you look at longevity of what they did over the course of their entire careers, Jericho still going today has evolved so much. Flair, much of the same, you know, from the 80s through the 90s into the 2000s, finishing up his career in, 2011 there. So, or 2008. This one's a really hard one because you got to take those two aspects of fandom, where it's the match versus the storytelling.
How many factions was Chris Jericho part of?
Factions? None.
Chris Jericho didn't need other people. Ever. Chris Jericho is probably the best individual mic skills ever. Him and The Rock, for me. Ric Flair was very good on the mic, but Ric Flair was only good at being a bad guy on the mic.
I don't agree with that.
When did he invoke emotion for you where you were like, I want this guy to win because he's a great person?
When he returned to WCW and there was the rivalry between him and Eric Bischoff, and he goes out and just cuts his Raw promo and emotion. God damn, I wish I had water down here. Cuts his Raw motion promo, and, you know, tears in his eyes. I also think, like, those made up in WWE were much the same. What did you just say?
He said, hey, guys.
Yeah, like,
He disappeared for a second.
Oh, yeah, you cut it there because I didn't know why.
Like, it just popped me off. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Hey, guys.
At the end of the day, I think when you look at guys that have stayed at the top for longer and guys that have proven that they should be a main eventer consistently, it goes to Chris Jericho. Eventually, the time came where Flair got weeded out. What are you looking for? What are you looking for, Lamar?
Did we really just say Chris Jericho's the greatest wrestler of all time?
Shook.
We just said that Chris Jericho is the greatest wrestler of all time.
What kind of foolishness?
He's the best in the world at what he does.
He's not Wolverine.
He is the alpha.
Y'all better.
The Painmaker.
Chris Jericho.
The Ayatollah of rock and rolla.
Is this real life?
Baby!
He's not even on my Mount Rushmore. I have to change my Mount Rushmore now.
This literally doesn't make sense.
When you think about everything that he has, like just put
still
the two.
Nowhere near the best wrestler of all time.
I think he is.
You voted him into this spot with us.
I voted against him damn near every step of the way.
Stop it.
What? No, you didn't.
We'll go back and we'll re-listen to this and we'll reconfirm.
Chris
Hey,
Jericho.
Go through who he was up against in each round, and I'll tell you who I voted for.
Okay.
Chris Jericho is still doing it. First ever undisputed champion. Faced The Rock and Stone Cold.
Beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night.
But like all of that's scripted, right? Ric Flair and Chris Jericho were supposed to win all the matches they won because somebody else decided. So let's take away records. So let's take away titles because ultimately that's not actually what determines who's the best because someone else determined that. How did they get pushed? Why did they get pushed? They got pushed for the same reasons. One would argue, you'd probably argue, guys like Ric Flair inspired Chris Jericho, right? If it wasn't for Ric Flair, would Jericho have been what he was? Probably not, because he's an inspirational and an impactful speaker. And Jericho learned from that, watching him as a young fan, and grew up saying, I'm going to be like that guy. But Jericho did it better. On top of that, Jericho has more of a well-rounded in-ring set. He's capable of doing things that Ric Flair's not capable of doing. When was the last time you saw Ric Flair springboard?
I did see him
That does not
connect with
include
that.
a flop.
I did see him jump off the top ropes and connect with that elbow finally.
Okay. Jericho's done that plenty times.
He was also 65 when he did it, so come on now.
So it took him 35 years to do it.
Jericho hasn't turned 65 yet. Let's see what happens.
He was attempting it before. They just never let him connect on it. But yeah, who?
With that
Jericho?
being said, you want to go through the list, really?
Oh my
Just
God.
really quick,
We gotta
really
go
quick.
back.
Jericho beat Angle. Jericho beat Eddie. Jericho beat Edge. Jericho beat Cena. Jericho beat HBK. Jericho beat Flair.
I think I voted against him on every single one of those.
I think you did too, actually, now that I look right. But guess what? He still won. With that being said,
What's
thank
funny?
you very much.
Lamar was brought here to be the deciding vote.
In case we couldn't get along on it, but
We would have
obviously,
chosen.
Jericho's the best.
Good times.
Good
Yeah.
times. Lamar, thank you very much for coming. Until
Not
next
a
time,
problem.
guys. We out.
Deuces. Yo, on a side note, the Cowboys just got Gerald McCoy for 3 years.